What do you say?
3 or 4 minutes away from the screen on the slide. So the only thing we don't have pulled up right now is the appointment slide. So if y'all can wait about 3 minutes and have that up, I will let you know as soon as ready. We can go ahead.
Yes, it is.
Can you confirm that? I have to.
We could just come back to it.
Did you hear what she said?
Confirm that the sound is working
Here or on the
on
line?
YouTube. All right, the consent agenda items were provided to the board members in advance, and at this time I entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
Second.
It's moved by Shipp, second by Haynes. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Madam Clerk, is unanimous. I turn to Dr. Hill for the personnel appointment.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This evening, I am pleased to announce our personnel appointment for this evening. Our new Chief of Recruitment, Retention, and Talent Development is Alan Hooker. Mr. Hooker has 35 years in education. He is serving currently as the Director of Recruiting in Guilford County Schools. He has also served as the Director of Benefits and the Director of Employment with Guilford County Schools, as well as the Leadership Development Officer with the Houston Independent School District. Mr. Hooker holds a master's degree in adult education, leadership, and policy, as well as a bachelor's degree in computer science from North Carolina A&T State University. Congratulations, Mr. Hooker.
All right, for our public engagement this evening will be the first reading for modifications to policy A-GRA. I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as the chair of the policy committee for this reading.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications to policy A-GRA, grading assessment systems. The proposed change removes attendance as a factor in determining student grades. This adjustment aligns with the recent updates from the State Board of Education, which prohibit failing a student solely due to absences. The policy committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend fast-track approval by the full board.
All right, I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as the chair of the policy committee for the first reading for modifications to policy B-BOPS, board operations.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications to policy B-BOPS, board operations. The proposed changes include eliminating the Office of Board Operations as part of a broader restructuring to streamline board support functions, creating the Office of Board Governance, Constituent Services, and Support, which will report directly to the Board of Education through the Board Governance Support and Operations Officer and replace the Office of Board Operations. Defining the roles and responsibilities of the Board Governance Support and Operations Officer. These include, but are not limited to, facilitating board governance processes, managing constituent inquiries and services, delivering administrative and operational assistance, and promoting efficient board operations while ensuring strong responsiveness to the community and stakeholders. Updating the policy code and title of the policy to accurately reflect the elimination of the old office, the establishment of the new one, and the associated structural and functional changes. The policy committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend fast-track approval by the full board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as chair of the policy committee for the first reading of modifications to bylaw B-BEA/B, Board of Education meetings.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications to bylaw B-BEA/B, Board of Education meetings. The proposed changes are elimination of the requirement to hold a regular board meeting during the month of July, providing greater flexibility in the annual meeting schedule while still allowing for special meetings and emergency meetings as needed. Adjustment to the registration deadline for public comments and public hearings. The cutoff time for signing up to speak will become 5 p.m. on the day immediately preceding the meeting. Establishing of new rules governing signage at board meetings, defining permissible dimensions and specifications for signs brought or displayed during board meetings. The policy committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading for modifications to Policy B-EQU, Equity.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications to Policy B-EQU, Equity. The proposed change modifies the reporting requirements for the 6 areas of action from 6 separate reports per year to one unified report that encompasses all 6 areas of action. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading of retirement of Policy B-OCE, Office of Compliance and Transparency.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed retirement of Policy B-OCE, Office of Compliance and Transparency. The proposed change eliminates the Office of Compliance and Transparency as part of a broader restructuring effort to streamline board support functions and enhance overall efficiency. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
There is a public hearing this evening for modifications to Policy A-GRA, Grading Assessment System. Since there are no speakers, I now declare this public hearing closed. The public hearing is open for modification to Policy B-BOPS, Board Operations. Since there are no speakers, I now declare this public hearing closed. The last public hearing for this evening is the 26-27 Hawthorne Academy of Health Sciences and 2027-28 academic calendars, superintendent recommendation. There being no speakers, I now declare this public hearing closed. I turn to Dr. Hill for the financial statements for February 2026 report.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the budget amendments for February 2026 report.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the contracts and change orders report for February 6, 2026 through March 6, 2026.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the student-focused outcomes governance goal 4, interim measures 4.1 and 4.2.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Good evening again. Tonight's SOFG report spotlights Goal 4, Interim Measures 4.1 and 4.2. It is my pleasure to welcome students from Philip O. Berry Academy of Technology, a school deeply committed to preparing scholars for the 3 E's: enrollment, enlistment, and employment. Under Principal Moore's leadership, Berry continues to create strong pathways that help students build real-world skills, earn credentials, and discover their future options. Tonight, you'll hear from 3 outstanding seniors, Sean, Jasmine, and Christian, each with a unique experience that reflects success through school community dedicated to every student's next step. I'm incredibly proud of these students and grateful for the educators who support them. Please join me in welcoming Principal Moore and his students.
Greetings. My name is Marvin Moore. I am proud principal of Philip O. Berry Academy of Technology. Everything that we do in our building it mirrors what our district gives us each day around the stuff that we need to do for our guardrails and the work that's to be happening in our schools. Nothing that we do is by ourselves. It's the full capacity of all the stakeholders that we have. And we believe in the PCP model, which is people, great staff, also curriculum and culture with creativity, as well as the P is the partnerships that we have created with all of our stakeholders. The intentional focus of the instructional strategies that yield high results every day, all the time for all of our children, no matter where they come from or what they do. There's a phrase that goes out that says, good, better, best, never let it rest until your good gets better and your better gets best. I now share with you the enrolled people that we are going to have speaking to you today. One, Mr. Sean Smith, who's an amazing student at POB. One of our enlisted students, Ms. Jasmine Green, who is beside us to his immediate left, and an unemployed student, Mr. Christian Benitez Contreras. We are very proud of these 3 students, and you're going to be proud once you hear some of the words they're going to say to you today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sean Ellis Smith, a senior at Philip O'Berry Academy of Technology. This fall, I will be attending North Carolina Agricultural and Technology State University under the Cheatham White Scholarship that paid for 100% of my college.
Aggie pride.
I owe my success to my time and experiences at Philip O'Berry. I've attended this school all 4 years of my life, and if I had to go back, I wouldn't change a single thing. The courses, clubs, and all the friends I've made are a testament to my achievements. But through it all, it was the teachers who supported my path. Learning at this school taught me so many things. I didn't know about myself, but the teachers were able to teach me. They elevated the love that I learned to get from my passion for computer science. Not only did they teach me the curriculum, but how to pursue what I enjoy, problem solve, and persevere in times of stress and confusion. Ms. Frierson and Mr. Darling, my software development teachers, and Ms. Green and Mr. Hargrave from Road to Hire are the ones to acknowledge when highlighting my success, because I know without them, the Sean you see here today would not exist.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jasmine Green, and I am the battalion commander in charge of over 190 cadets at Philip O'Berry Academy of Technology. Leading the entire POB JRC program, the Fighting Cardinal Battalion, as commander, has changed and shaped me in more ways than I could ever express in words. But it is expressed in my character, my leadership, my confidence, and my belief that I am in charge of my own future. Between the instructors I love, the leadership I experienced, and the certification I earned, I and every other cadet that went through our program is prepared for our future with many options and opportunities. Each JRTC cadet has given JRTC has given all of its cadets what we need to grow into our own people in life after graduation. It means so much to be a part of a program with instructors who taught us more than just words on a paper, but instead real world problems and real world qualities that we need to move forward, whether we end up enlisting or not. All cadets that will enlist or have enlisted in the past have stated that JRC has prepared them for military life through the courses that we put them through, the drills we run, and the training we go through. Philip O'Berry has cultivated each of its cadets to graduate and proudly serve our country.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Benavides, and I have earned industry certifications through my CTE classes. Following graduation, I'll be entering the workforce full-time as an assistant project manager at MSS Solutions. I've always been someone who learns best by doing hands-on projects. My core and HVAC classes helped me discover my strengths. With the support of my teachers, I earned certifications in OSHA 10, EPA, core construction, and HVAC. These aren't just pieces of paper. They're real qualifications that open real doors. At school, I have built the skills and credentials needed to succeed immediately after high school. I feel confident with already having experience and certifications that employers value. Opportunities like the internship I took a part of last summer helped me understand that success doesn't look the same for everyone. For me, it means being ready to work, contribute, and grow right away. And Philip O'Berry and The Rock made that possible.
Thank you so much, Principal Moore and students, for joining this evening. Great job, Sean, Jasmine, and Christian. Okay, I believe we are having some technical difficulties, but I think we're just going to proceed anyway without
Yes, we'll be able to see it.
be able to see
We'll
it.
be able to see it
You
here.
will be able to see it. Okay. Okay, good evening again for the third time. Tonight's monitoring report is focused on Goal 4, Interim Measure 4.1 and 4.2. This is the first of 3 reports focused on Goal 4 within the 2025-26 school year. Tonight's report, we will share the 25-26 Goal 4 projections based upon mid-year data. Most notably, this includes updates to indicators 3, 5, and 6, which focus on students enrolled in dual enrollment courses on track to earn a Tier 2 or 3 credential or on track to complete a concentrator pathway. At the August 11th, 2026 meeting, we will provide an update to projections with unofficial 25-26 district level data. And then again at the November 10th, 2026 meeting, we will review official 25-26 data and compare to previous graduating cohorts. To be enrolled, enlisted, or employed as demonstrated by achieving at least one indicator from 72% in June 23 to 85% in June 2029. There are 6 indicators for Goal 4, and they are the percentage of students meeting or exceeding grade level proficiency in Math 1 or Math 3, English 2 and biology, or successfully completing a vocational preparation or life skills course. The second indicator is the percent of students scoring 17 or higher on the ACT, including ACT work keys, or a 1050 on the SAT. The third indicator, the percentage of students earning a credit from an institute of higher education, Central Piedmont Community College, UNC Charlotte, including dual enrollment, advanced placement, international baccalaureate, or Cambridge. Next is the percentage of students scoring 31 or higher on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or ASVAB. The next indicator, the percentage of students earning at least one Tier 2 or Tier 3 or Work Keys industry credential. And finally, the percentage of students completing a career and technical education concentrator pathway, including the JROTC pathway. Please note the following business rules relating to the 24-25 and 25-26 data. So let's start by looking at the percentage of students who are on track to graduate in 25-26 having met at least one indicator. Based on our current course enrollment, 85% of our students in our expected 25-26 graduating cohort have met at least one Goal 4 indicator. This achievement exceeds our annual target of 78% by 7 percentage points. It also represents an 8 percentage point increase from the estimated 24-25 school year. Please let me again state as a reminder that both data for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years are an estimate based on course enrollment and are subject to change once official data is received from the state. On this slide, you see for the 3rd year in a row, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools is expected to exceed the annual target from the percentage of graduating cohort students meeting at least one Goal 4 indicator. Now let's take a look at 10th grade students that are expected to be rostered within the 27-28 graduating cohort. Based on the current course enrollment, 61% of students in our expected 27-28 graduating cohort has met at least one Goal 4 indicator in the 25-26 school year. This achievement exceeds our annual target of 57% by 4 percentage points, and it represents a 6 percentage point increase from the estimated 24-25 school year. On this slide, you see the same data with the additional details as it relates to the indicators. Finally, let's take a look at our current 11th grade students that are expected to be rostered within the 26-27 graduating cohort. Based on unofficial data, we are projecting that 82% of 25-26 11th grade students expected to be rostered within the 2026-27 graduating cohort to have met at least one Goal 4 indicator. This number exceeds our annual target of 75% by 7 percentage points. It represents a 9 percentage point increase over the results achieved in the projected 24-25 school year. It also projects that the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools has reached the annual target for overall Goal 4, Goal 4 Indicator 4.1, and Goal 4 Indicator 4.2. All three grade levels, 10th, 11th, and 12th for Goal 4, are projecting to meet or exceed their 25-26 annual target. This slide shows the same data that I just reviewed, but it also provides additional indicator data at the bottom. I will now turn it over to Chair Sneed to continue with the Goal 4 Student Outcomes Focused Governance Monitoring Report discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Turn to board members. We're having backwards looking questions, strategic questions. First round. Board membership.
Yes, as we look at strategic adjustments, page 16, there's so much support needed for our students to be on track. Do you feel like in the high schools, school leadership, counselors, and other staff are there available? What does that look like in terms of?
And in some cases, exceeding what our 5-year goal is. And that can be attributed to the people that you just mentioned that are in the school. We have been extremely intentional in terms of educating our staff on what these indicators are, what they mean, as well as being intentional with scheduling. So one of the things that I'll talk about when we start looking forward is our Goal 4 dashboard that we've actually implemented about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But we've done a lot of training for our principals and our career development coordinators. Each of them have a monthly process by which they're going through and taking a look which students have met an indicator based on their schedule, if they can meet an indicator, and also working very hard in terms of their schedule, especially with their CTE courses, to make sure that they're not just taking a level 1 course across multiple pathways, but if they're starting in a pathway to actually finish the level 1 and 2, and if as a level 3 course, going ahead and doing that, as well as they can also choose another pathway as well.
And that's good. And part of my follow-up would be you have like 1,346 students that have not met it. They are not on track right now. Achieving at least one indicator for the 25-26 school year. How does that play into that, the staff? Because I'm always concerned about counselors at the schools and making sure the students know where they need to be.
Yes, I know that's here. Can you remind me what page that's on?
Oh, that was in appendix page 7. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, in the appendix page 7.
Okay, yes, so this is for our 12th grade students. I think we're gonna wait till we get there.
Yeah, yes.
Yep, there it is, right there. So this is for our students that are in 12th grade, and so yes, we do have 14.6% of our students that have not yet met. Those, of course, are seniors, so the way that this goal is built out, it's really, I mean, obviously we want to impact every group of students, but because we really started it last year, those students really only had 2 years to have an opportunity to meet the indicator that was one of the indicators. So, of course, if they're a senior this year, if we started this last year, we didn't have a really strong hold on making sure that we were stacking their courses, making very clear the pathways that were available to students. So we do anticipate that even next year's cohort, for example, that number, you will see a reduction there.
Thank you.
Board Member Stone.
Could you just clarify, please? Thank you. Could you clarify the students that actually seniors, does that include exceptional children, across everybody, anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
So this goal is for all students, and we've called that out specifically on the grade level proficiency indicator, where it speaks specifically to students being grade level proficient on those assessments, and then every one of our students can graduate either enrolled, enlisted, or employed. And so specifically for our exceptional children's department, they do a really good job making sure that students have access to internships. A lot of the businesses, such as the hospitals, we have great partners that provide internships for those students. and many of those students graduate and have a job as soon as they graduate.
Thank you.
Board Member Monterey Duval.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Looking backward, have we identified any systemic gaps or headwinds or anything that you think could be a blocker to the progress, to continued progress, now that we've been measuring this for 2 years? Can you speak on that?
Right now, I don't necessarily see any barriers. We definitely have some headwinds. As I mentioned, everyone, first of all, the board setting the goal, us being really intentional in building our strategic plan around those goals. So I wouldn't say that we necessarily have any barriers to progress. We're making exceptional progress. This is the goal that I'm most proud of. Certainly, there's opportunity for growth and improvement. What I would say is that if we can take a look at, let's see, it would be the slide in the appendix.
And this question was in the spirit of continuing the positive progress, not...
Oh, yes.
Otherwise.
Yes, got it. Thank you for that. Could we go to the learner profile? Yeah, this one, perfect. So this is something that we've implemented for post-graduation readiness, and I really like this approach because it's really looking at the entire child. So there's 4 pieces there, and it says IME3. Obviously, we know what that means. But we have students that are performance ready, meaning that they're graduating on time with at least a career pathway and at least one advanced course. That they are opportunity ready, meaning they're participating in extracurricular activities or things outside of school. Next step ready, meaning that they have an aligned career and post-graduation plan. And then life ready, meaning that they're equipped with confidence, resilience, adaptability, and financial literacy. And so on the next couple of slides, you will see the learner profile activities at each grade level. So this is not something that's just for high school. It's for students beginning in grade K all the way up. So the opportunity to continue the good work would be just to make sure that we are strengthening this work and making sure that it's happening and occurring at every single school at an extremely high level. I would say would probably be the biggest area for us to focus on to continue to exceed our goals.
Thank you.
I have a question on slides 21 and 22. Can you tell me what systemic actions there were that have contributed to why the numbers, or at least like the baseline numbers for Black, Hispanic, ML students, there's such disparity? It's on slides 21 and 22.
Are you referring to the change?
No, like the base, yes, like, so if you look at, and I'm talking about the baseline number, so essentially we'll be talking about the gap between the students. Because like, on slide 21, like Asian is 80, but then you immediately go down to Black is 45, Hispanic 40, white is 79. Like, why is there why was there such a wide baseline gap?
Well, what I would say is this was pre-goal, and so it just was what it was. We know that historically there's been huge opportunity gaps and performance gaps amongst all students in terms of access, opportunity, ensuring that the courses were available at all those schools. I would say that we have done a lot of really good work, everything from tightening up our instructional tenets to course offerings that are offered, ensuring that specific pathways and multiple courses are offered at schools, ensuring that students are aware of the courses that are available to them. So I would say those are the things that have changed. But historically, from a baseline perspective, in all of our data points, there have been huge gaps between different groups of students. And of course, those gaps still exist, but we're proud that we are increasing in every single area.
So the only follow-up that probably more of a statement as opposed to a question. I understand the gaps, but I think this one particularly, when we're talking about goal 4, those type of things, where the placement is, the education of students, I think it is very important to understand like the baseline in order to make sure of how we're tracking in the future of that will create possibilities to make exponential gains. Because it is great that the numbers are up, but it's got to be that many times up to catch up, to close the gap. And I think there's a unique opportunity in this particular category to make sure that that there is some fidelity in correcting where those gaps are. Like
There absolutely is.
Yes.
So an opportunity to speak to forward-facing questions, I'll be happy to speak to that.
Okay.
Whenever we're ready to transition.
Are there any other backwards questions?
Do you want me to?
I had one more.
Y'all can start there. then.
I had one more. I'm looking at slide 17, and this may be a similar line of questioning that will lead you to the forward. When you talk about the availability of student data from the dashboards transform the way for scheduling students, how has this change had the impact? Because what did you learn from before that you noticed that wasn't happening, but by having this data available, it made the transformation into moving outcomes in this area?
Sure. So I'll answer both of those questions, and if there's no more backwards facing, then I'll just roll into forward facing.
Yes.
That's okay. All right. So what we know is they have a screenshot up here of what we had previously. So when you think about students signing up for courses and preparing to graduate, and this is not germane to Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, this is just generally speaking, students have a list of graduation requirements. And pretty much it's, let's make sure that we check the boxes. You need 4 English courses, you need this. You're just taking classes, but it's not, the goal is just to graduate. It's not necessarily the goal of what you're going to do after graduation. That's not to say that there have not been efforts to support students to do whatever, but it just has not been systematic. And so, unfortunately, what we found is that in some schools and pockets, we were doing a really good job informing students of, you take this pathway to get this, and then you'll have access to this. In some of those same schools, we've pushed a lot of things, such as advanced placement courses, which is fine to take, but we've not provided a lot of exposure into, there's another way for you to get college credit, not just through AP. And so when you see these disparities show up, it's just not surprising that that would happen, because we have taken a stance that we have to advocate for every single student, and we have to provide information to parents so they know what's available to their child. And so when you take a look at this theory of change, this is actually a quote from a principal, because once we started this goal and we had our baseline data, the first obvious question that principals and counselors and teams were asking is, how do we know who these kids are, and how do we figure out what they need in order to meet these indicators to be on the path to do whatever they need to do? So that's where we came up, or the team came up with this dashboard. And now what you have for this dashboard is the availability for school teams to look at individual rosters for every single student, to know if they have met an indicator, what courses they're enrolled in, and what additional courses they need to take in order to meet a specific indicator. The other thing that we've been able to do is, based on their career interest inventory, now that students take in 8th grade and they start planning for their classes in high school, based on the path that they want to take, we help the students map out their entire 4-year career, again, ensuring that there's space availability in their schedule. So when students, complete their registration card, there's someone that's actually looking at it and saying, hey, you took a level 1 course here, the very next semester you need to be taking the level 2 course instead of skipping a semester. Stack them up so you're able to earn even potentially more credentials. Same thing in terms of students being able to take career and college promise courses, or those are our college level courses that are offered through Central Piedmont, making sure that we are targeting and allowing students to take those courses and to be successful. The other strategy that's a looking back strategy, but also a looking forward strategy, is we have career college coaches that started in 23, 24, and those are coaches that are at specific schools based on data. So we took a look at students and if they were getting access to our career and college promise courses, which are college courses that they can earn college credit, and we took a look to see at what schools is there low enrollment. Some schools, as you can imagine, had high enrollment, some schools have low enrollment. So based on that, we place these college and career coaches, and it's a 49-51% model, where we pay a portion, Central Piedmont pays a portion, and they work in concert with the counselor, the career development coordinator, and that college and career coach, working with individual students saying, hey, you have potential, you can do this, you need to be enrolled in a college course. Not only are you going to enroll in a college course, but you're going to be successful and pass the college course. So those are some very intentional things that we've done in terms of being strategic where we're placing the resources to ensure that we close those gaps that exist.
Any other, Board Member London?
So thank you, forward facing again. So you know that this whole goal 4 is like my love language because of workforce development. So for me, and you did mention it, but I would love to know, I love that, you mentioned kind of baseline data, where things are. I think it shows that placing intentionality on this has shown immediate progress because you all are being intentional. And I think as you created the 3 E's, or the 3 E's were created, the entire community has really aligned around the 3 E's, which I love to see that as well. So do you have strategies, are there opportunities for strategies to continue to increase outreach and kind of marketing and outreach to both students and families about CTE, but also other, about the 3 E's in general?
Yes, so continuing to market it, continuing to share it, continuing to communicate definitely with students. Our family and community engagement team has done a really good job connecting with parents, doing workshops with parents to help them understand what's available to the students, making sure that they're actually enrolled in those courses and following through. The other thing that we have specifically done with our partners is ensuring that we have Central Piedmont academies within our schools. So, and that's for the enrolled piece. So we know that students can access college courses from a variety of ways. From our middle and early colleges, which you'll hear about in just a little bit, students have access to get their own transportation from their school to Central Piedmont to take those courses. And then we've also brought the CP, Central Piedmont Academies, to schools in which there's low enrollment and lack of access. So those professors are actually instructors are actually coming to the schools and working very closely with the schools in terms of scheduling, so we can get blocks of students that have direct access then to that course. But that has all come from, again, the board setting that goal and then us getting in alignment with the goal. So marketing is extremely important. We have What's Your E coming up next week that has really gained traction. And all of our community partners, if that is their wheelhouse, they've really aligned with the board's goals as well. So marketing has been a huge piece, as well as communicating with our students, and as I said, specifically our parents.
Thank you. I love it.
Board Member Shipp?
Oh, looking forward to, we got to see tonight at Philip O'Berry about being enlisted in that work. Talk to me a little bit about how much are we really supporting students to realize the benefit of the junior ROTC and being enlisted and the kind of work that they can have after that. I think that has become a big thing, being enlisted.
Yes, we have a very strong JROTC program in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. We have dedicated staff at the central office, and then of course all of our instructors at the school level. There's a list here up on the screen where you can see all of our schools that have Army, Air Force, Marines, and Navy.
Right.
And they do incredible work with the students. The instructors are there on campus. They are recruiting students. And the student that you saw this evening, students do a great job recruiting other students into JROTC. We have a huge cohort, and every year, coming up actually in the next couple of weeks, they host the Superintendent's Cup. Love for you all to come. I think some of you maybe have been there before, maybe Ms. Shipp, I think maybe has attended in the past. But at the Bojangles Stadium, where we do graduation, you all are used to seeing that entire floor filled with graduates. Imagine the entire floor filled with cadets. And they go through all of their exercises. They get awards, multiple awards. We have legislators that are there that hand out awards. It is a great event, so lots of support. The other thing that we have done this year specifically is we have made available the ASVAB to all of our schools. It was offered first semester and second semester this year. And we also are offering it not only to students that are enrolled in JROTC, but students who might say, I'm not in JROTC, but I am interested in potentially pursuing a career in the military, and we give them access to that assessment. That's really important because students that have access to taking this assessment may have an opportunity to enlist at a higher ranking, depending on their score. And I'll also add, I remember Dr. Witherspoon asked this question last year. I gave an incorrect answer, and then I was corrected, that based on the number of years in JROTC means that they enter the military at a different rank. I think both of you bounced and asked that. It was you? One of you all had that question. We have a growing number of students. The other thing I do want to add too is I think a lot of people think just because you're in JROTC that you're immediately going to the military. We have several students that are in JROTC just because of all of the added benefits. They do a lot of life work, character building, discipline, all of that. And a lot of those students get amazing scholarships to go to Ivy League schools. I mean, any school that you can possibly imagine.
That's it.
One other thing that I'll add, sorry, I know I'm going on and on, is that the students, because they have such a great connection with their instructors and with their cohorts, I was out visiting at Rocky River, happened to be there, and one of the cadets was home on break, And I was just asking, like, is this typical that they come? And they said, yes, all the time. The cadets, after they leave, they come back and speak to the students about their experiences.
Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, how does that, if they're at a school, in the school, and they're interested in Marines, but their school is offering Army, how does that work? Is that a limiting factor? I don't think it is, but I just want that, the way this is set up to.
That's a great question that I do not know the answer to, but I'll be happy to get it for you.
Okay, thank you.
So I had a question about a different question about the militaries, the ASVAB. The goal is that the percentage of students that are scoring 31 or higher on the ASVAB.
Yes.
And am I looking at this correctly in terms of, I'm looking at slide 8, that talks about, it has the 2% on it. Is that, and then I'm looking at slide 11 that has 0% for the ASVAB.
Yes. So, okay, so for slide 8, what you are looking at here is students who are in I believe this one is our senior. See all the indicators. So basically what this is saying is of these students, 48% of them have earned the indicator for being grade level proficient. That's one of the ones that they would have met. For ASVAB, 2% of these 12th grade students that we're taking a look at who are projected to be at 85%, being on track to be enrolled, enlisted, and employed, 2% of them have taken and passed the ASVAB. Does that make sense?
So then how do we know what the data is of the number of students that take the ASVAB are scoring 31 or higher?
Yep. We're measuring the number of students earning 31 or higher on the ASVAB assessment, and we're hoping to increase from 237 students to 250 students this year. So to date, we have 460 of the 959 students have earned a 31% or higher on the ASVAB administration. But the test administration will continue through the end of April. So as of right now, we have 460 of the 959 who've earned a 31 or higher, but students are still testing through the end of April. So when we have our OBEA sessions that you've heard me talk about for each of the goals and each of the strategies, every other week, the person that is responsible for that particular strategy meets with our cabinet and other district leaders, and they go through their WIGs, their wildly important goals, and all of the measures. So they let us know if they're on track, off track, based on the indicators that are underneath for each of these strategies. At this level, we're reporting out on the big overall, but at our OBEA, they're going through each of the specific metrics, and then we have a strategic conversation similar to this about how we can remove barriers to increase success.
So I guess in particular, like, what are the strategies for that particular indicator that increases the score to the goal of 31 or higher?
Offering the assessment more often. So in the past, we've only offered it one semester. In the past, we've not offered it at every single school. We now offer it at every single school, first semester and second semester. And the other strategy, or tactic, I guess I should say, is that we now are ensuring that our JROTC instructors are aware of the assessment and what's going to be assessed in terms of supporting students with passing the assessment.
Thank you. Dr. Witherspoon?
Yeah. Just have one question, which I'm glad to see that around that all schools have an ACT plan. How do you track whether all the schools are implementing that plan with fidelity?
Yes, so our assistant superintendents of school performance, we have 3 of them that support all of our high schools. Each of our schools, based on the goals that the board has set in their school improvement plan, they have a goal that's related to one of the 4 goals that's applicable to their school. So it's tracked there through the school improvement process. The assistant superintendent of school performance is working with them in terms of monitoring that, and the person at the district level that's responsible for that specific strategy reports out on that at our OBEA sessions. So it's tracked in multiple different ways. The other thing that I would say is that you've heard me talk a little bit about the data report outs that we do. For high schools, because this is one of their goals, our high schools are actually reporting out on the number of indicators, the number of students, that are meeting at least one of the indicators that's enumerated here in the goal that the board has. So it's monitored at varying levels, and then opportunities to work together to ensure that they're making sure that they're consistent and offering opportunities for students so that they will meet indicators in order to be prepared.
Thank you.
I just got 2 more questions. On slide 58, we talk about the college and career promise. It says that it is off track because will increase from 20%. Comprehensive high schools offering will increase from 20% in 24-25 to 64% in 25-26. And it says that we're off track there.
I'm sorry,
slide 58.
Sometimes
it's the dual enrollment course access.
Thank you. Making sure I have what you have. All right, off track. So dual enrollment course access, percentage of CMS, is that what you're taking a look at?
Yes, it will increase from 20% to 64% in 25-26.
Yes.
They're saying we're off track on that, but I'm not quite sure I understand what the strategic adjustments that'll be made and kind of where we are.
Yes.
Because we're in the 25-26 school year now.
Yes, thank you very much. So Dr. Payne actually reported on this last week and specifically pointed out that we have 15 Central Piedmont academies, which is 1 short of our goal. So our goal was to have our Central Piedmont academies in 16 schools, and so we're saying that we're off track because our goal was for it to be in 16 schools, so we were 1 short. So our goal was to increase from 20% to 64% in the 25-26 school year, but our actual was 60%. So a little bit of information about that. We started our CP academies in the 22-23 school year with 3 schools. We increased to 5 in the 23-24. Then we were able to secure 12 schools in the 24-25 school year, and our goal, again, was to have 16 this year, but we were only able to get 15. So we're continuing to implement some strategies to see that number increase next year. A little bit more information. Class offerings based on enrollment continue to be a barrier. The minimum of 15 students are needed for a course to run. So if we don't have 15 students in a course, then we can't, it's cost prohibitive for us to be able to offer it. So one of the strategic adjustments, to answer your question, is allowing our principals now to map out and secure year-long plans for their course offerings instead of just looking at things semester by semester. So starting in this past November, December, all the way up until now, assistant superintendents as well as counselors and principals have really been working not just looking at what courses you're going to offer for a semester at a time, so next year, fall and spring, but really looking at it in totality. You know how I kind of talked about earlier, a student getting, like, these are the graduation requirements that you need and checking it off? The same thing with our mindset, being really strategic in the way that we're laying out our schedule in order to offer that. Now, I will say in full transparency, Crystal Hill has never done a high school schedule. It is a work of art. I don't know how they do it. And they're giggling. Laura Rosenbrock's probably the queen of doing it. But so you're looking at the interest of students, looking at their career interest inventory. You're looking at available staff and allotments, and then looking at how can you stack these courses to create clear pathways for students to be able to graduate with all the things, including graduation requirements. And then not just allotments, but the available staff that you have to teach said courses. So that is a work, it is masterful for them to be able to do that. So I say these things like it's real simple. It is not. But it takes a lot of thinking ahead, a lot of strategy, which is why I mentioned they've been working on next year's schedule since November, this past November, looking ahead.
You actually led me to my last question. You use those particular words. How do we know that there is, or what strategy are we making sure there's alignment with the student interest, the inventory? The last piece that you did not speak about was the industry needs, and how those three things are aligned.
Yes. So if you if you can go to that tier 2, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 credentials. So we work very closely with Charlotte Works to make sure that we're taking a look at the industries that are specific to the Mecklenburg County area, as well as industry needs across the state. And our CTE team works very closely with those folks to make sure that our pathways and the credentials that we're offering are things that students can actually use regionally. Because obviously we want students to graduate. We want students to graduate with the specific credentials, but we also want them to stay and work here. We have I want to say it is a challenge. We have a workforce challenge, and the biggest Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools is the best answer to our workforce challenge that we have. We are workforce development. So we work very closely, again, with those specialists to make sure that we are preparing students for those jobs. A couple of years ago, we started with the help of one of our executives in residence, the enrolled the City of Charlotte Signing Day. I'm not going to call what it is.
E2E.
Thank you.
E2E, yeah.
E2E, yes.
Yeah, E2E.
With the City of Charlotte. And then today at the Futures Fair, I had an opportunity to talk with some of their HR folks, and they were just saying that they are so pleased with how well prepared students are when they sign on to work with the City of Charlotte. And they also said that they are so pleased with the feedback, because we go through a cadence of asking them, all right, you had these students sign on, how are things going? What are some things that we need to work on right now for that program, which is huge. And they were saying they are strong applicants. So making sure that we're having that feedback loop on the things that we can do to get better, to better prepare students, not just for the industry, but just to be prepared to work in general. All of those things, which goes back to that wheel that I showed you earlier, making sure all of those 4 pieces are in place.
Any more for FY 26, 27?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. As we plan for year 3 of our strategic plan, I'm reminded of where we started. Just a few years ago, I said when I had the opportunity to become your superintendent.
Engagement is built into our budget process, both before and after decisions are made. We've gathered feedback from principals, teachers, support staff, students, families, community members through advisory committees, surveys, and community meetings. This year, more than 1,000 stakeholders participated in that process. So collecting feedback is important, but our responsibility is to take all of that input, balance it with the financial realities and strategic priorities, and make decisions that work for the system as a whole. This slide summarizes the themes that we tools and the support to do a job well matters. When you step back and look at all three things together, what they really point to is retention. There is an important takeaway from this. We will never recruit our way to our goals. We have to retain our people. Recruitment brings people to the door, but retention is what creates stability in schools, and stability is what allows student achievement to improve over time. And compensation is a very big part of retention, which is why you see it prioritized in the budget recommendation. This is not by accident. It is in direct response to what our employees in our community are telling us and what our data is also showing us. So I want to pause here for a minute and underscore something fundamental. When we take care of our teachers and our educators, they can take care of our students. Educators make the greatest impact on student outcomes, but too many of them are working 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to make ends meet. We cannot expect teachers to be fully focused on instruction while they're also worried about whether they have enough money to live. If our goal is stability in schools and long-term gains in student achievement, then we must ensure that our teachers have the financial security and support that they need. Investing in our people isn't just the right thing to do, it's the most impactful thing that we can do for students. Okay. So let's take a look at our proposed operating budget, which funds our day-to-day operations of the district, things like salaries, benefits, transportation, utilities, and instructional support. The operating budget, proposed operating budget is $1.97 billion and supports approximately 139,000 students. This slide shows both where the funding comes from and how it's used. One important thing to note is that we do not have a state budget yet, not for this year, 25-26, and not for next year, 26-27. So for planning purposes, we made some assumptions. We assumed a 3% salary increase and a 4.09 increase in benefits. These are planning assumptions only, and this uncertainty is important when we talk about why some funds are not yet allocated. Charter school enrollment impacts our budget because local funds follow the student to the charter school. Any increase in charter enrollment increases the amount that we are required to pass through to the charter. So before we started requesting additional funds, we looked internally. As we shared earlier, we consistently hear from our employees that compensation and support matter, and we are committed to prioritizing those areas. So we ask ourselves, where can we make adjustments and trade-offs to redirect funding toward these priorities? This is, of course, supported by the board's guardrail 4 that states, when ensuring all schools have teachers equipped to deliver high-quality instruction, the superintendent shall neither neglect targeted nor comprehensive strategies for teacher recruitment, retention, and engagement. So through the work that I mentioned earlier, we've identified approximately $6.6 million in trade-offs through central office reductions, vacant positions, and shared cost models for digital platforms. These decisions were not easy, and we recognize that every role in the organization is important and contributes to support our students. But we are not funded to do everything, so we have to prioritize. And when we have to make those choices, we prioritize investments that most directly support our schools, our classrooms, and our learning, student learning. This section covers the proposed operational county appropriation. It represents on three main areas, starting with the first category of investing in our employees. The first item in that category is certified supplement increases. This is where you see our continued commitment and the county's continued commitment to retaining our teachers. The 5% supplement increase is consistent with what we've requested over the previous 3 years, and we work toward making teacher pay more competitive in our local market. What you will find unique about Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools and Mecklenburg County is that we have continued to invest in our educators even when times are tight. Many districts across the state are cutting positions or have not been able to adjust their local supplements. So we want to acknowledge and thank both the Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners for their continued commitment to investing in our education. This completes the multiple year effort to align our classified pay with the market. Earlier phases address the largest employee groups, and the final phase focuses on specialized roles that are still not at market competitive. Required cost. This is primarily our charter school pass-through, which is required cost. This is primarily our charter school pass-through, which is required by law and is not discretionary. The final category is our operational needs, which includes opening a new schools or 2 new schools, utility rate increase. These essential costs are required to operate our facilities, not program expansions, but simply the cost of running a system our size. Altogether, a total reoccurring expansion request is $31.1 million. However, we are able to apply $6 million in local funds that were allocated or set aside this year for state increases, the state increases that did not occur this year. So that reduces the amount that we actually need for reoccurring funding down to $25.1 million. This request is for one-time funding, which is why it's shown separately from the recurring items that we just discussed. This funding supports our ongoing effort to maintain a sustainable student device replacement cycle. We continue to work in partnership with our county each year to move toward a long-term solution that is financially suitable or sustainable for both the district and the county. Reliable student devices are essential for instructional resources, assessments, and extended learning opportunities. So this slide shows how we move from our current year county appropriation, which is a direct allocation from the county. Next, you will see $1.45 million for fines and forfeitures. This is funding that passes through the county to CMS. In the past, this was shown combined with the county appropriation, but we have broken it out this year for clarity and transparency. When we add in the $25.1 million in new reoccurring funding that we discussed in the previous slide, and then finally we add the $6 million of the one-time request for student devices. When you combine those amounts, the proposed operational county appropriation for 26-27 will be $698.6 million. So that covers our operating budget, which funds our day-to-day operations of the district. And I'm going to move to our capital outlay request, which funds our facility and infrastructure needs. The $32.96 million capital outlay request funds an estimated 305 projects that were identified using our facilities data from our deferred maintenance list and needs outlined in the facility condition assessment. The largest investments focus on HVAC and site improvements with targeted work in plumbing, roofing, flooring, electrical, and paving. We've also allocated approximately 6% in contingency funds to address unexpected and unforeseen needs, as well as helping cover projects that may come in higher than initially estimated. The next section is our enterprise funds. These are self-sustaining programs such as child nutrition or school nutrition and after-school enrichment, which are funded primarily through user fees rather than state or local operating funds. There is a slight increase of 10 cents proposed for paid student meals related to rising food and labor costs. Many of our schools are CEP schools, so students of those schools will continue to eat at no charge. This increase was carefully considered. Due to federal requirements, paid meal prices must eventually align with the federal reimbursement rate. We currently have a waiver, but rather than risk a large increase in 1 year when the waiver expires, we are recommending small, gradual adjustments over time. Even with this increase, our prices remain lower than many surrounding districts, and there is no increase recommended for our after-school program. So this brings everything together in our total recommended budget for 26-27. We've reviewed the individual components, operating, capital, and enterprise funds, and this section shows the full financial picture for the district. So as we've discussed throughout the presentation, the budget is built to support the strategic plan and the board's goals. The numbers we just viewed represent the financial side of the plan, but the work behind it is about strategy, outcomes, and student success. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Thompson, who will walk you through the theory of change and how our investments align to the board's goals.
And now I will do just that. Talk through exactly how these dollars support our ability to achieve our goals and guardrails. We're going to continue to use our theory of change to prepare for the 26-27 annual plan. These are not new components of the theory of change. They're part of our multi-year, longer-term strategy, and they are producing results. The first brick in the theory of change is high-quality specialists. They're essential to provide training and development to high-quality literacy and math master teachers and classroom teachers, all in school buildings. The total anticipated investment teachers are essential to providing job-embedded training and development to high-quality literacy and math classroom teachers. The total anticipated investment for the 26-27 school year is $30.4 million. This is based on an average master teacher salary with benefits, and these positions support goals 1, 2, 3, and guardrail 1. Now we'll look at high-quality teacher professional development, our teacher instructional onboarding initiative called Crown Academy. The total anticipated investment for the upcoming school year is $0.8 million. This investment supports goals 1, 2, 3, and guardrail 1 and 4. We know we need to ensure there's a high-quality classroom teacher in every classroom to achieve our annual targets, whether the position is a classroom teacher on an expanded impact or otherwise, the core function is the same, providing high-quality instruction. The anticipated goal-aligned investments to ensure high-quality teachers in the 26-27 school year is $293.3 million. These inputs support goals 1, 2, 3, guardrail 1, and guardrail 4. Next is high-quality core instruction. Anticipated inputs for the 26-27 school year include ongoing costs to provide curricular resources to teachers and students, devices for students, and extended learning opportunities. The total anticipated investment for these inputs is $30.7 million. These inputs support goals 1, 2, 3, and guardrail 1. Next, student engagement. These inputs and investments support goals 1, 2, and 3 as well as guardrails 1, 2, and 3. Inputs include a continuation of our multi-year district-wide framework to ensure our school environments foster student well-being, counselors, social workers, and psychologists who provide core, supplemental, and intensive services within school buildings to support student success in school, and school-based safety and security staff, such as behavior modification technicians and campus security associates who provide supports in our schools and to ensure safe school environments. The total anticipated investment for these is $98.1 million. And finally, we have family engagement, ensuring family understanding of student progress and how to use available resources to extend learning within and outside of the school day is essential to student success. A continued input for 26-27 is Family Academy with a total anticipated investment of $0.8 million. This investment is aligned to goals 1, 2, 3, and guardrail 1. In conclusion, we have the key inputs that are essential to achieve our goals. Each of these needs to be in place. We can't forsake any of them. We also have to invest in what's needed for our broader organization, and we'll do that while keeping our focus and priority on student outcomes. And I turn it back over to Chief Klutz to finish our report.
Thank you, Chief Thompson. As we move forward, one too many. Okay. This is a slide, and it's about how we move forward. The expectation is not just financial discipline, but operational discipline and continuous improvement. We have to keep asking if we're organized in the right way, if we're using our resources the right way, and if we're getting the outcomes that we expect. This is how we protect our investment, stay aligned with the board's goals, and ultimately move away from being a good organization to a great organization. So the budget book, this is a full budget book and is available electronically and provides comprehensive details about the financial plan, priorities, and funding allocations that support the recommendation. This book includes several different views of to support your understanding, transparency, and comparability. It includes detailed expenditures by funding source so that you can see how funds are allocated and spent within each fund. It also includes revenue by funding source, which shows you where the funding comes from, whether that be state, local, federal, or other sources. The book also includes the proposed county appropriation current expense report, which is presented in the purpose function format. This is the legal format that's adopted by the Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners, and it shows what funding supports, such as instruction, support services, transportation, etc. This document also includes prior year comparisons as well as fund descriptions and category explanations for your reference. The document is being presented to you today, and the board will have until April the 28th, about 5 weeks from now, before the budget is brought back for a vote. Our goal is to present the budget in multiple ways so that it's transparent, easy to understand, and easy to compare year over year. So as we close tonight, this budget reflects the path that we've taken to get here. We've started with the board's goals. We listened to our stakeholders. We made trade-offs internally first, and then we prioritized people because people drive student outcomes. What we're bringing forward is a disciplined, responsible budget that aligns with the board's goals and supports students. This slide shows the timeline and what happens next, including the public hearing, the board adoption, and the presentation to the county. Chair Sneed, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, board members. We will entertain questions. As you know, this is the budget, so it's not any particular sequence, but I'll entertain a series of a few questions from you. All right, Board Member Hatch.
Thank you, Chair Sneed. Thank you both for your presentation. The budget book that you're talking about, is that the detailed budget?
It is.
Okay. And so that's what you're asking the board to approve, is the detailed budget, not the summary, correct? This is a clarifying question for me.
The board approves at the purpose function level, and so it is a summary level. So it's regular instruction, special instruction, those types of categories.
Okay. Thank you for that. You talked a little bit about some of the trade-offs. So we heard central staff, transportation, lunchroom monitors, and shared costs. So who transportation and lunchroom monitors, and then the shared costs for the digital platform?
So for the central office positions, let me just get to the slide, sorry. For these central office positions that are listed, the 26 at 3.8, we have moved to a pre-K-12 model rather than just a separate model where we serve pre-K and then we serve K-12. So the individuals that serve K-12 will also serve pre-K, so that work will continue. Transportation monitors, those have just traditionally been vacant. We've had a very difficult time hiring those positions for at least 5 years now, and so we've decided to collapse those positions, move anyone over that was in one of those positions over to an EC transportation monitor because we have vacancies there. So those were able to move over. The lunchroom monitors, our staffs, just all the staff in the school, everybody pitches in. The principal will decide the best strategic way to make sure that the lunchrooms are monitored, are paying before. So the services that were being performed before are still being performed as we go forward.
Thank you for that. I know with the, particularly with the central staff, I'm curious about the addition with the pre-K model being added to the K-12. I know some of the, we're all employees somewhere, right? And so sometimes it feels like you get additional work, and we're already saying they're underpaid and all of that. So how have we looked at how we spread that work across for people that probably already feel overworked and underpaid?
I'll answer that question specifically, unless Dr. Balknight wanted to come up. You'll give me a shot at it to see how I do. If I don't do a good job, you come up. Specifically, for some of these roles, I've talked a lot to you all and to our district leaders about how we've blended our learning and teaching as well as our school performance areas, and we had lots of different specialists in lots of different areas. So in all of the departments for learning and teaching, we had specialists. We had specialists that were in our recruitment, retention, talent development, beginning teacher specialists. So what we did is took a lot, we looked at licensure areas, what folks were really good at, and we pooled all those people together and said, now that we don't have these different pockets of people, let's take an inventory of all the things that we need to do, who can do these things, and then pooling our resources together. And so essentially, now those folks will be working directly with the school performance areas. When you think about an elementary school, we have pre-K through 5th grade classes, not pre-K that's completely separated from the kindergarten. And what we know about goal 1 is the importance for there to be that connective tissue between pre-K and kindergarten. We get asked that question a lot. What are we doing in pre-K to make sure kids are ready for kindergarten? And so who better than a specialist that sees the entire continuum from pre-K through the terminal grade, 5th grade, to understand the depth and breadth of the entire grade span to make sure that we're providing a more cohesive delivery model to those students and then also to the schools. As a reminder, these are central office level positions that provide support to schools. So a lot of that was done based on feedback. I've talked a lot about, like, if you look at yummy spaghettis all over the floor, because it's just a mess just trying to manage all the support y'all are sending our way. It would be helpful if it's streamlined and much more strategic. And we've worked together, saying, will this model work? Take it back to the school leaders that are actually the receivers of said service delivery model.
Thank you. Okay, a couple more. Okay. Were those the only trade-offs that were made in this budget? So just asking so we know kind of what we're looking at and improving. Were there other trade-offs made in the budget other than what was called out?
I'll answer that, and I can pull up the list and read it. But there were several central office positions that we eliminated. And I can rattle some of them off and then.
Well, you had central office staff, transportation, lunchroom monitors, and shared costs, just making sure that those were the only trade-offs that were made in the budget.
If I may, so when you adopt a budget at the beginning of the school year, we send you budget amendments every month. So we adjust our budget every single month a lot. So that's a continuous cycle that happens. But you're aware of them, right? We send you a report, you know what they are. And the other thing that I would add is that departments have their budgets, and I give Chief Ivy, let's just say $10 million. Chief Ivy, well, let me use Chief Salmon Hosey, right, because she does IT. And when the Microsoft contract increases, we're not getting anything different than we got last year, but it goes up $200,000. I do not come to you and ask for additional money because it's really kind of unrealistic for us to do that. And we are super focused on the board's goals. And so I tell Chief Salmon Hosey to figure it out. So she has to cut something in her budget to figure it out. So I'm having a difficult time saying that we don't do trade-offs that aren't listed here on this PowerPoint presentation, because we do trade-offs on a regular basis all year long.
Yep, understood that piece, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to, at least going into it, thinking about the approval that we're asking for at the end of April, understand at least maybe, and we don't have to answer it now, like what are some of the harder trade-offs that folks had to make so that we have full understanding of the totality of what we're approving, like what's in and what's out.
Those would be the ones that would be listed here on the slide.
Okay.
And as Ms. Klutz called out, that when we begin the budget cycle, each chief already has whatever, well, let me back up. We started this year with these words: we are not getting any more money for anything. So if there's something in your division that you would like to do, you can count on the same budget that you had this current year for next year, and it might be less. So you've got to figure it out. So within each team, each chief with their department leads took their budget, and they did, and I think that's what she's saying, they did all kinds of different trade-offs. And any trade-offs that changed code?
Purpose function.
Purpose function code, thank you. Then that comes to the board for approval. So you guys, are not approval, but for awareness. You all get
it
that.
Is approval.
Approval,
It
thank
is
you.
approval.
That's why I need to get fact checked. For approval, and you all see that, and that's in your reports that you get, that funds were moved from this code to this code. So they're doing that all the time. Not any different than a principal who at the beginning of the year might have 50 teachers, and they've allocated 10 of those teachers for 5th grade, but then when the students don't necessarily show up, they may have to move one of those teachers to a different grade level. Like they are doing, that's a trade-off. Or they're making the decision to collapse a K-1 class combination because they don't have enough staff. So those type of trade-offs are happening all the time, and we're sending that to you all. But in terms of big picture trade-offs that we've done to balance the budget, that's what you see identified on the slide here.
My last point is I'm aware of the aggressive, lofty, important goals that we've set forth. I also understand where we are from a budgetary perspective and the people that have to do the work. And so my questions is really more aligned of making sure if there's any opportunity to provide any awareness to the board if necessary around what we've asked you all to do and the resources that you have to do it and the people that are impacted by it. I just wanted to make sure that I created space for that. So that's really where I was trying to go with the question, is to make sure that the people that are doing the work, the goals aren't changing, the money's not changing, but we keep people at the heart. So thank you
for that. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, board membership.
Yes, my question was, and this, I don't know if this is right here, but when you were mentioning pre-K, we talk about this, it's becoming pre-K 5. What about the ADM? Because there's been a question whether pre-K counts in terms of enrollment to get the support they need for people and the work. Where are we at with that? Because to me, that's the biggie when you start saying you're going to put the support now pre-K 5. Pre-K students have not been part of the ADM and the enrollment for the elementary. So where are we at with that?
So the state funds the ADM based on K through 12. So we do not receive the same type of funding for pre-K students. However, there's a separate pot of money that we get for pre-K students. So we do not get money for state money, so they're not in the traditional allotments. So no, those enrollments are not. But there are considerations for the additional funding. It's very similar to when you have an EC population. You have a regular ed teacher, and then you also have an EC that's funded separately. So very similar.
Okay. And I'm just going to stop at I'm just going to do that one question. I'll come back, give other people.
All right, Board Member Haynes.
Sure. So thank you for the presentation and all of the work that you've put into this. What's near and dear to my heart is student, parent, and family engagement. So my question is about slide 29, related to guardrail number 3. I see that we're investing $2.4 million in a district-wide.
She just passed it.
No, that one.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So in terms of that, and of all of the things that we're speaking of, that's a relatively large investment for one framework. What sort of community engagement have we done? Students, parents, teachers, and then also where does that land in terms of not being a research-based model, but an evidence-based model?
Work to do, and we will continue working through that.
So there's an ongoing plan.
There's an ongoing plan.
Just keep it going.
To keep it
And
going.
we're looking to assume or put ourselves in the position where it's just part of a budget, that we know this is going to happen every year, and we're going to plan for a rotational type system.
That's ideal state. If we could get it in there for 4 years, we could stop talking about it.
Okay, next question. I'm interested in understanding how much our energy costs have increased from historical, and even if you're able to project.
So let me get that information for you. I would not do it justice to do that. However, we have been looking at that over the last couple of years. We had significant increase last year. We've developed a WIG, a wildly important goal to manage our utility cost, and the team has been working on it and has done an outstanding job in reducing energy costs this year. I would give a nod to $4 or $5 million savings this year if I had to say a number.
Oh, wow.
So they've done a great job.
Be available to come consult at homes. Thank you.
All right, I believe our student advisor, Jara, has a question.
Yes. First, thank you so much for this presentation. Very informative. So I was going to ask a question about the teacher-related slide. So how do we aim for ensuring these high-quality teachers in every classroom while still dealing with, for instance,
9 of 185 have 1 or fewer vacancies. The challenge that Chief Klutz spoke to a little bit earlier is the retention of those teachers and the continued development of those teachers. And so we have a number of things that are in place to support the ability for teachers to be able to continue teaching and for our ability to continue developing them, not just onboarding in the beginning, but continuing to develop folks as they deserve to be developed throughout their career. And I'll turn to you on the...
Would you ask me the second part of your question again, please?
just that how does the timing with the state-driven salary affect this?
So we were hoping someone would ask about teacher salary and the state increases. So the state has not adopted a budget this year, 25-26, and we do not know what they will do for 26-27. The state funding model indicates that the base pay for a teacher is paid by the state, and the local does the supplement. So everybody, all teachers in the state get the same base pay if you're whatever level you are. And then the local supplement, the local county portion, is designed to manage or help with the local living wage and what it costs to live in Charlotte versus what it might cost to live in a different part of the state. So if a teacher were paid $100, I like to keep the math simple when I'm standing in front of an audience. So if a teacher were paid $100, $84 of that $100 is paid by the state. $16, I can't see those numbers, $16 of that is paid locally. So base pay is $84, local supplement is $16. So when the state gives a 5% raise, that teacher, the raise, the 5% is on the big 5%. On the local share, that teacher only gets 80 cents because the portion of the pie that it's calculated on is a much smaller portion, right? So we're doing our part, and Dr. Hill has recommended the last 3 years, and we've implemented a 5% pay increase for the last 3 years for teacher supplements, and again this year. So over 4 years, we've increased teacher supplement, but that gets us about 80 cents on $100 every year. However, when the state does a 5%, because they're making it the pay increase on the bigger portion of the pie, that teacher gets $4.20. So that's an impact of 5 times more than what we can do locally. So you can do it 5 years in a row to equal what the state would do in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And so the message is that we all have to work together, right? We need both to contribute the same effort, and then we really make progress toward teachers. We cannot do it alone. Ours are small incrementals because of the way that the funding model is designed, is intentfully designed that way. Now, we prepared this slide as well. So if the state were to be if they were able to, I'm speaking retroactively, if they were able to.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, so you had another one? No, okay, Board Member Monterey Duval.
This is a question, I hate to say clarifying, but it is a clarifying question. So if the county is having to cover, this is my understanding, right? If the county's having to cover that salary increase from the 84 cents, my question is, like, where's that money coming from? Like, I know it comes from somewhere, but is there like trade-offs? Because it seems like what's happening is that there's a gap and it's being covered. But like, when we're moving that, what are we moving it from? I'm just curious how those mechanics work.
I'm not sure I understand.
I know what you're saying. Can I answer?
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
You understand my language?
I do. I understand what you're saying. So a couple of things. So locally, they're not contributing to the blue part. Can you go back to the Pac-Man?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What we are doing is attacking that green space. Does that make sense? So we're not necessarily, with our supplement, trying to take care of a gap. We are focused on the supplement because that addresses our local context. Crystal, what do you mean by that? A first-year teacher, their base salary in North Carolina, anywhere in North Carolina, is $41,000. Pitiful, as my dad would say, sad but true, right? $41,000. However, it costs more to live in Charlotte than it does to live in Lexington, for example. So what we leverage is the supplement to raise the pay for a teacher who works in Charlotte to be higher than a teacher who may work in Lexington, or you can move that needle a little bit closer.
Right, I'm following.
Lauderdale County or Gaston County, for example, right? So because the state pay is the same here as it is in Gaston, what we have to do is account for the local context to make it more attractive for a teacher to work here in Mecklenburg County because they have lots of, so it's both and, right? Two things can be true at the same time. We have to continue to increase our local supplement, and the state must increase the base salary, because that makes up the larger portion. In other words, if we just attacked the local supplement over and over and over and over, that's great, because it's making us more competitive than other districts, right? But it's a problem because market, we're still not going to be able to get to where we need to get to.
So we're not filling in the gap from the state.
That's correct. That is not the purpose of the supplement, to fill in the
I
gap
understand.
from the
I understand. I thought I had understood that that's what we were doing because of the state lack. Is that wrong? Okay.
So said differently, if the state tomorrow says we're giving a 5% increase for the state base salary, yay, we're all really excited. My recommendation still would be to increase the supplement, because if we don't, then that means that Cabarrus might be paying higher than we are. Union might be paying higher than we are. And I love my friends, so I don't want to get any text message from my fellow superintendents. Love them all. But the reality is, it costs more to live in Charlotte than it does those places. So we have to increase pay for teachers, but locally we have to be competitive than others around us. If not, they're gonna, even if they stay in the state, they will leave Charlotte-Mecklenburg to go to Union. It's the same retirement system, it's the same all the things. So the only lever that we have is our local supplement that gives us an inch above some others. So that's why we talk a lot about the supplement, but it's not an or, it's definitely an and. Does that help?
No. But I will follow up. I will follow up offline.
I'm sorry, Chair Sneed. Can you go to the bar graph?
It's fine.
The line graph. Do we have that in here?
I can't, I'm sorry.
I guess what my misunderstanding is, like, if the state says we're going to give a 5% increase in the base pay, but they end up not doing it, right? We still have to do that. No? So that's what I was trying to understand, which is why I said clarifying. Okay, great.
No, we don't do it.
So they just go without getting that
that's what's
increase. They're
happened.
only getting the increase from the local supplement at the moment. That's my misunderstanding. I thought what you were saying is that we were also covering that, and I'm like, where's that money coming from? Great, thank you.
Yes, you've got it.
Actually, I'm sorry. I do want a point of clarification, because I think I might know. Maybe I was wrong. Can you go to the people slide?
Yeah, the people.
I think this is what she's asking, right, Beth? Yes. This is what she's asking. It's in the appendix.
Yeah, we moved it to the front.
There we go. Here it is. All right, I think this is it. Do you want me to speak to it, or are you going to speak? I'll speak to it. All right. So in our budget this year, we had 5% supplement stamp. That's what we just talked about. The other piece that we have on there is a 3% assumption for a state pay raise for our employees, right? A state-driven salary increase of 3%. So if the state gives a 3% state raise, you see the majority of our employees, there's some people that are blue, the blue people that are locally paid people. We need to make sure that those locally paid people get the same pay increase that the state does. If they're federally paid, that's the purple people, we pull that from budget. So for example, if we have a teacher that's paid from Dr. Lemon's federal budget, she has the same amount of money. That means she has to decrease somewhere to account to be able. We're going to get the money.
We get our money back. We get our money back.
No.
Okay.
If we get a raise that's more than 3%, the state's going to take care of the green people. But our budget right now is based on an assumption. So if the budget passes, we will not have asked the county for enough local money to cover our blue people. which is why we have to have the 6.5 million in reserve if they go over.
Got it.
Now, let me tell you why we think they might go over, which would be great if they do. As you know, there's a lot of pressure because we're the only state in the country that hasn't passed a budget. So it might be a possibility they did nothing this year. The state is supposed to pass a budget, but when they choose not to, it leaves us all in limbo, which is why you might see news articles now about different districts making a whole lot of cuts because they are concerned about not being able to make up for that shortfall.
So that's your reserve, the 6.6
That's
mil.
the
Got it.
reserve.
Thank you so much. Copy that. Appreciate it.
All right, Vice Chair Rankin, you had a question?
It was answered, yeah.
I'm looking at slide 17, a capital outlay slide. The 32 million for that. I know we talked about it last meeting somewhat, but the first part of the question is, are these projects already identified, or are these guesstimates in the process that we identified to say we need to know we need 122 renovations? Because we probably use 185, but how do we get to that point, and are these already identified specifically?
So what's on the slide is currently the estimated projects based off of trend and what we were seeing. We are currently in the process of solidifying an exact list of projects, so those numbers may change slightly, but we are utilizing our facilities condition assessment, which we just received the final report on that, which is now covers all the buildings within the school district. Before, we had done a phase 1, which was 30 buildings, and then we did a phase 2, which covered the remainder of the buildings, but not including the ones that were going to be on the bond. So we're taking that list, the district safety assessment information.
So the number may change, but the dollar we have to fit when we'll work within that dollar amount. Okay.
Yeah, we'll stay in the same dollar amount. Yes, sir. Okay.
And to follow with that, let's say we happen to have 2 big snowstorms back to back and pipes start bursting everywhere again, right? But we can't account for those things. So that money we have to figure out, that would have to come out of this portion of money also when we have those emergencies, would it not?
Yeah, so that is one of the reasons why we started allocating a contingency fund, which is noted on here as 6% of these funds, as well as working with our Fund 20, which is our local money, to have master contracts with people so that we know exactly what we're going to get charged for those type of things and can be prepared for those ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question. I just want to understand the stakeholder input. No, I'm confused about the order of things, as I know that we're going to have public engagement about this budget presentation, correct?
That's correct.
After today?
Yes.
And so the stakeholder input, like, what is this really representing? It's on page 6.
So we get feedback in advance of doing a budget recommendation. So we get inputs on what people, what our priorities are, their priorities are. We want to know if it matches what our priorities are and what's been communicated in the strategic plan to make sure that we're still aligned. All of that, the principles, clearly we talk about trade-offs and different things. Lots of feedback that comes in advance of making the recommendation so that we make sure that we're aligned with what our customers and stakeholders want as we present the budget. And then after the budget has been presented, we want more feedback. So this is what you told us, this is what we did, we recommended, did we do it right, are we on the right track? If we didn't, we want to talk to why we didn't, and maybe, and there's always the possibility that we would change a recommendation after we heard feedback again, because so we have the next board meeting is the public feedback session, and then the next, so 5 weeks after today, is when you'd be asked to vote on it.
So then, my second question is about the trade-offs. I just want to understand, so we only had 14 that's on page 11. We only had 14 transportation monitors anyway, or those were, you get what I'm saying? Like, are you just moving the 14 vacant positions?
These were specific to pre-K transportation monitors. We have a whole lot of EC monitors and other monitors in the district. So these monitors were moved into our EC vacancies that we could not fill. So there's still a monitor in our district.
No, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying, how many transportation monitors do we have in the district?
I can get that for you.
Because that's a separate pot.
It is.
It's not, so you're just saying, you're just moving 14 of the transportation monitors out of whatever the number is.
That's right.
To EC positions.
That's right, to vacant EC positions.
But how does it translate to a cost savings?
So those dollars would be unspent. So if they're vacant, they're budgeted, but they're unspent. And so we were going to repurpose that budget of those dollars. And so that would have gone last year, this year, into a fund balance, into a carryover.
Because you have EC vacancies, what you're saying?
We do have EC vacancies that we can put in. So we're going to move them into an EC slot and use that money rather than that.
Okay. Yes, I got that. So then the other question I have about is the lunchroom monitors. This is all of the lunchroom monitors across the district, right?
This is.
And so we only had the 46.5 to anyway.
We only had 46.5 full-time equivalents. So these are part-time positions, most less than 20 hours a week, so less than a 0.3 or a 0.4 equivalent. And so when you add up all the equivalents, you get to 46.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So there's more.
It's more than 46
More than
because
46.
it's part-time. You are calculating this on a full-time model.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right, yes.
And so now we're not going to have any lunchroom monitors in the district. We're not going to have anybody fulfilling the position of lunchroom monitors across the district, right?
That specific unique role. Now, the lunchroom monitor will happen. We will monitor our lunchrooms, but we will not have a position funded and called lunchroom monitor.
By doing that, what could be the unintended consequences? Meaning, does that mean a teacher doesn't have a planning period now?
That have lunchroom monitors. I can't say all factually. All districts that I'm aware of take care of this within their current staffing model. This is just unique to Charlotte-Mecklenburg.
I don't think that's quite answered my question.
Okay, ask
My question
again.
is, what could be the unintended consequences? Such as, will teachers now not have a planning period because they need to fulfill the duties of monitoring the lunchroom?
So there's a North Carolina general statute, I can't call the name of it right now, that requires teachers to have a certain amount of duty-free lunch. So we are required to still stay within that statute, but still not do it with the resource of the lunchroom monitors, which is why, as Chief Klutz indicated, we met with a couple of things. Not all schools had a lunchroom monitor to begin with. So the same question could be asked, well, how were some of the schools providing that same required duty-free lunch, and others that had the monitor were not? So it absolutely can be done. So in terms of unintended consequences, that's why there are multiple conversations with the elementary principals as well as the school performance area superintendents to work with them to figure out what could be the possible unintended consequences and everything that they needed to do to make sure that they cover lunch. So that can be anything from utilizing their deans, assistant principals, using potentially some of their assistants. They may have allotments that they are funding through multiple sources, that part of that is going to be covering lunch. I mean, they're map of creators to being able to make it happen. So I think it would be difficult to speak to how each school's going to come up with their plan. But we met, or not we, they met with all elementary principals at least twice to walk through what's the worst thing that can happen if we do this, and then how can we solve to that.
Okay, so my question is, I understand, I'm not asking about duty-free lunch because we're required to do that. I understand that. Employers are required to provide duty-free lunch if you work a certain number of hours. My question is the unintended consequences, could it be less time in like planning period? So we know that one of the feedbacks that we get is specifically about planning period time. That's one of the things that educators talk about, is that is coveted time to them. That is a no cost. It's a no value, no salary, things that make a better working place. So I'm just curious if now we're going to infringe on that time. So before, and I don't even know how much planning time educators get, whatever. They get 2 hours a day, which I'm sure is not that. But and now for those, particularly in those schools that had the lunchroom monitors, now will those educators be faced with, they get a 1 hour planning period?
I can't answer, I don't know how many elementary schools we have, 105, so I can't tell you. I do want to point out, as we answer your question, is that what all of our school principals know in our theory of change is that the high-quality teacher brick is there, and when we dig into all of the strategy that's behind that with recruitment, retention, and talent development, we have strategy and are collecting data on what teachers are saying to us in terms of their working conditions and things that we need to adjust to make sure. Our goal is that Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools is the #1 place to work in Mecklenburg County. So I'm not sure if I think what you're saying is we have worked with our principals to ensure that whatever the plan is, it's not taking away from the goals that obviously I'm evaluated on. Like, I would not put this up as something that would crumble these bricks, because this is what you all are holding me tight to in terms of what you expect of me. So whatever those unintended consequences are, it's not at the detriment of the goals and the theory of change that we have here. And obviously one of the most important factors would be our teachers, which is why you hear so much strategy and will in the coming months hear about new things that we're doing within budget to ensure that Charlotte is the best place to work, not just for teachers, but all employers.
Dr. Hill, if I might add, it is in our instructional tenets that every teacher has planning. So every teacher, even with this move, would continue to have time for planning.
I mean, I get that theoretically. I mean, I'm not going to belabor that particular point. My next question is, I think in other presentations we talked about the threat of federal funding, and now we're in a better place. And nothing that was presented here or said tonight, but specifically that because there was some concerns, there was a model that we held back a certain percentage, or we were having a conservative view of spending federal dollars. Mm-hmm. And so what was that? It was like a percentage. What was that amount?
So last year this time, we were uncertain about the federal budget. However, over the last 9 months, that has solidified. And it's very recently, I'm not remembering the month, but just a couple of months ago, the federal budget was solidified. The budget information is passed through NCDPI because the state manages that, and we have we have our planning allotments and the ability to access that money for the next 2 years. So we feel really good about those federal dollars. And so that was part of the situation that we were in before, is because DPI was holding the dollars, we were unsure at the time whether they would be able to take those dollars back. And so I think that's one of the things that helped in that situation. So very different from the grants that came to us, the federal grants that came to us where I had to withdraw the funds down. Those funds did go away. But the funds that were in DPI's account and given to DPI and then we accessed through there, those funds did not go away. So there's a little bit of confidence, a little more confidence when DPI is awarded the dollars and we're just drawing from DPI.
So, I mean, I guess my specific question was, and I just don't remember what the amount was. Like, so, for example, instead of spending 100% of the money, the guidance was we were only going to spend 70% of the money.
So that was our Title II, III, and IV. And there were conversations that we could potentially lose up to 60% of those dollars. And so we reserved 60% of those dollars to ensure that we could pay our staff in the current year. So those were reserved. Now we're able to pay our staff, but we also got our normal federal allotment. It wasn't cut. So we have 100% of that money, not 40% of that money. So now we're able to pay our staff this year. We're able to do some things that we might have planned before, fill in a little gaps, and then we have a little bit of carryover as a safety net going forward. But it's not a lot. It's not the same type of carryover we had with ESSER. So we continue to spend that down.
So now we're not operating on the model of reserving the 60%.
We are not right now.
Okay. My next question is, so when we look at the budget, the presentation of the spend, it's really around slides, the series of slides like slide 26, 27, 28, 29, maybe even slide 30. I just need a better understanding of, so we have with the we have the key lever and the investment amount. Is there any way to distinguish the changes? Meaning, I believe that it is fluid. Like, how do we know that the investment is happening where the need is? It has changed. Meaning, so we see that, hey, we got math. When am I going to pick math? We have, K2 reading under control. So that's kind of more, if that is an increase, is that the same? Are we decreasing the amount that is being committed to that? And the alignment of like I said, the fluid changes of the performance areas of our goals and guardrails.
I'll answer it and then you can go.
Sure.
So we presented this information in the exact same format as we did last year with the budget presentation. And so we'll be happy to go back and provide the comparison from last year to this year. But I think under the high quality teachers, for example, is a slide I'm looking at right now. If you can go to that one. And Chief Thompson, if you want to talk specifically to those stars that are there, that talks about the investment there. So for example, high school Math 1 teacher recruitment would be an excellent one to talk about, because as we've monitored our goals, you heard goal 4 today, we've already met the 5-year target. Goal 3 would be the goal that I'm most concerned about, Math 1. So I don't know if Chief Thompson, if you want to speak to that, and even perhaps Dr. Balknight to talk about efforts, and then you're also serving as a double for recruitment, retention, and talent development, so you can speak to that as well.
Yes, I'll start with the Math 1 teacher recruitment. It's actually opportune. We were just on with principals at 7 a.m. this morning to discuss upcoming hiring season and all the things that will be happening. And one of the opportunities that we shared with our high school principals is the opportunity to provide a recruitment bonus specific to high school Math 1 year-long class. And when you think about our Goal 3 monitoring reports, our middle school Math 1 students are coming in college and career ready, so we don't see a need for additional supports there. The things we are doing currently are working. For our semester high school students, that is largely the same, but for our year-long high school students in Math 1, we know that they need additional supports because the majority of students who are taking it for double the time or for the entire year need those supports. So this would be one thing that would be in place to be able to support and encourage teachers to move into that area. Another area I would lift is the high-quality specialists. When we were recalculating numbers from last year to this year, that number did go up in terms of the number of specialists who are included in that denominator. One of the process improvements that we're working on, and I would say across most of our bricks in the theory of change, we're still doing process improvement to continue to get better and better. And as we do a process improvement, for example, tonight we talked about the Goal 4 dashboard. That has been really transformational for schools to be able to now not have to do all of that work by hand, but they literally click a button and can see a student, what they've taken, and then what they need to achieve one of the indicators, and then track that year over year. In terms of our specialists, as Dr. Hill shared earlier, the specialists previously had been in various departments, and so when they went to visit a school, one specialist might help with one thing, one specialist with another thing. Those specialists are now within our school performance areas and are able to be proximate to schools. And we've increased the number of specialists, for example, from recruitment, retention, and talent development. Instead of our teacher leader pathway specialists being separate from the work of school improvement, they are now in the school performance area, which has increased the number of people supporting and the comprehensive way that they're supporting schools instead of coming in separate silos.
I think my last question is this. If we're looking at like a slide 29, when we are talking the student engagement slide, we have counselors, like social workers, psychologists, safety. Are those, I think this may be the same thing, we could do a comparison, like how do we know, is this an increase in the number of counselors, social workers, psychologists, or is that number remaining the same?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'd be happy to look into that.
Okay. I think that's it. Vice Chair Rankin.
I'm looking at slide 21. The overall recommended budget around the enterprise funds. Those are school nutrition services and after-school enrichment program. Are those two self-funded?
They are.
So, but are the numbers we see, are we requesting these funds or?
No.
Okay.
They're just
We're
included.
just including to the budget.
They're just included.
That's not a part of the ask.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
But do we receive federal dollars for our school nutrition also?
We do.
Okay. Does that offset those, I'm assuming, or?
Yes, it's built into that $100 million revenue. So there's a large portion of federal dollars that come because 105 or 115 of our schools are CEP schools, so they get free lunch and breakfast. And so then you would just say the majority of that is probably a federal reimbursement that's sitting there.
But after school is fully self-funded, no
That is
additional
correct.
funds for
Fee
that.
funded, completely 100% fee funded.
All right, thank you.
Are there any more?
Okay, this one will be quick, but this was to go off of Vice Chair Rankin's first question about that brief pause we had due to the storm. I'm going to be completely transparent as a student. I did not mind that. It was very nice doing school in my PJs, but despite that, it caused a hindrance on my educational time, and I wanted to go back to the answer we had about the contingency fund. So just, does the Board of Education plan to maintain the contingency fund that we started this year in case of any types of emergencies like this in the future?
So this is the first year that he's allocated it in a contingency fund. So this was in response to some things that have happened this year and the need to identify it as contingency.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking? Did that?
Yeah, just, I know that this was unexpected for this year, and we handled it very well with this fund, which is awesome.
And are you talking about when we had the snowstorm?
Yes.
So we did not, Mr. Rankin was trying to jinx us.
Okay.
No.
We did not experience an operational emergency like pipes bursting this year. That did happen last year. Y'all probably did not know it, but it did happen. And unfortunately, things happen. So when, even if it's not called out as a contingency, that's why we name those projects in those specific areas, but let's just say we have X amount of dollars set aside for a roofing projects that are up here, and then X amount of dollars for HVAC. Well, if we have a major HVAC go out and we had planned for a roof for regular maintenance, we would then move that money down to take care of that operational emergency. But what Chief Ivy is saying is this year, we typically get, is that 32 million? 32.9 every single year. This year, we are specifically calling out a specific amount for any contingency that we may have. So while we were out when we were out, we did not experience an operational emergency.
Okay.
That's it.
Any other questions? Can you just explain
Too early for that.
I might just ask that offline, just because I'll just ask it offline. My last one, I'll ask offline. Thank you. Thank you. The next up is program choice, current and future states of Montessori, IB, LITD, and early college, middle college. I know that you are presenting these separately.
Yes.
So probably, I think the best method is to present, I'm assuming you're doing Montessori first?
Yes.
And then it'll be questions, then IB, LITD questions, and early and middle college questions.
Yes, ma'am.
As opposed to asking all the questions at the end. So, Dr. Brocknight.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Hill, do you have any comments before we get started?
Turn it right over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I'm so excited to be, I think, the last on the agenda. I know we all are excited to hear more about school choice programs. We've had a great time in the community. We encourage our families to continue to come out. We have lots of community engagement sessions left, so I want to thank everyone for that. And so we're here to talk about school choice programs, current and future states. At our last presentation, we had lots of questions about specific programs, so we agreed to come back and give you a deeper dive into those programs. I'm so excited that I have with me tonight several of our school leaders, so you'll hear from them as well. And then Dr. Kim Schroeder is with us as well, our Associate Superintendent of Learning and Teaching. So we're so thankful to be here, and our goal is twofold. First, to clearly outline the current structure and purpose of these programs within our broader portfolio, and second, to share the direction we are exploring as a response to the 2024 Comprehensive Review. This work will help us shape the future of our choice programming and ensure we continue to expand the high-quality foundational learning experiences available to all students. So as we look at our placemat, we've talked about engagement. Engagement is so critical, and we know that our choice programming can certainly help engage our students and our families. So the 3 programs we will highlight this evening are Montessori, International Baccalaureate in Language Immersion and Talent Development, LITDIB, and our early and middle colleges. So we're going to take a deeper dive in Montessori, and at this time I will turn it over to our wonderful principal, Melanie Francis, who will share with us her thoughts as she has experienced Montessori as a leader.
Good evening. I am honored to speak with you all tonight. My name is Melanie Francis, and I am the proud principal of J.T. Williams Secondary Montessori. I also served as the principal of Park Road Montessori and assistant principal at both Chantilly and Highland Mill Montessori. In addition to my role as a Montessori administrator, I am a parent of 2 Montessori students of my own, one who graduated and is a freshman in college, and another who is a 10th grader. Both of my children had the benefit of being a CMS Montessori student from age 4. We have a lot to be proud of when it comes to Montessori in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. CMS has had Montessori as a magnet option since the 1990s. Our district opened the first public Montessori school in North Carolina, as well as the first public Montessori high school in our state, and we still have the only Montessori high school in North Carolina that is part of an urban school district. In the larger national Montessori community, we are looked upon as an example, and our schools are often visited by educators from other regions looking to replicate what we do. As a Montessori principal in this vibrant, diverse district, I have the daily privilege of seeing education look a little different and watching it yield remarkable results. Tonight, I want to briefly share why the Montessori method is a powerful asset for our children. Often, when we hear the word Montessori, people picture a classroom where children do whatever they please. The reality is quite the opposite. Montessori is a rigorous, scientifically grounded approach that builds exceptional executive function. In our classrooms, you won't see desks in rows or teachers lecturing at the front. Instead, you see a prepared environment. You see self-directed learning where children are taught to manage their time, choose challenging work, and follow a task through to completion. Because they have a choice in their learning, we tap into their intrinsic motivation. They aren't just memorizing for a test, they are learning how to learn. In Montessori, all of our classrooms are mixed age communities. A first grader sits beside a third grader, and students have their teachers for multiple years. This structure naturally builds a community of collaboration rather than competition. Students resolve conflicts at the peace table and brainstorm solutions to classroom concerns in community meetings. The older students reinforce their own knowledge by mentoring the younger ones, developing profound leadership skills and empathy, traits we desperately need in our future citizens. What makes our district's program truly exceptional is our pre-K through 12th grade continuum. We are incredibly fortunate to have 4 thriving Montessori elementary schools that feed directly into our Montessori secondary school. It begins with the beautiful materials and uninterrupted work cycles in elementary, transitions into communities and camping trips in middle school, and then culminates with specialized intersessions in high school. Not to mention the farm aspect of secondary Montessori that teaches our students so many skills they can't get in a classroom. The Montessori pipeline is a game changer for an urban district. It means we aren't just giving students a good start, we are providing a sustained, cohesive educational pathway. When our students transition from the elementary years into the adolescent community at our secondary school, they don't lose that foundation of independence. They build on it. They tackle complex, real-world projects, run microeconomies, and engage in deep community service. Our district is producing graduates who know how to think critically, resolve conflicts, and advocate for themselves. By supporting our 4 elementaries and our secondary campus, you are investing in a proven pipeline that honors the whole child and prepares them for the real world. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued support of Montessori.
Thank you, Principal Francis. Montessori is one of our most distinctive educational models and serves students from grades pre-K through high school. The model is built around multi-age learning environments where students stay in classrooms with a span of ages rather than progressing strictly by grade level. At the elementary level, this typically includes primary, pre-K and kindergarten, lower elementary grades 1 through 3, and upper elementary grades 4 through 6. Students then transition into Montessori secondary programming for grades 7 through 12. This structure allows students to learn in communities where they can take on both learner and leadership roles over time, where younger students benefit from observing older peers, and older students deepen their understanding by mentoring others. The approach emphasizes independence, intrinsic motivation, and developmentally appropriate learning. The Montessori model is designed to support the natural development of children while cultivating independence and deep engagement in learning. Students have had the opportunity to move around the classroom and select work that aligns with their interest and learning needs. While this may look less structured than traditional classrooms, the environment is actually highly intentional. Teachers play a very important role as observers and guides. Rather than directing all instruction from the front of the room, Montessori teachers carefully monitor student progress and introduce new lessons when students are ready. The goal is to help students develop focus, confidence, and a love of learning while progressing at their own pace. You will also notice that the physical classroom environment is intentionally designed with materials that encourage hands-on exploration and independence. Several core elements define the Montessori experience. First is freedom of choice within limits. Students have meaningful autonomy in selecting learning activities, but within a carefully structured framework designed by the teacher. Second is the prepared environment. Classrooms are intentionally designed with specialized materials that support conceptual learning and sensory engagement. Third is a practical life in sensorial learning. Younger students spend significant time developing independence and coordination through real-life tasks. These activities help build foundational executive functioning skills. Finally, Montessori requires specialized teacher training. All Montessori educators must complete specific certification programs that prepare them to implement the Montessori pedagogy effectively. These components together create a learning environment that is both academically rigorous and developmentally responsive. Looking ahead, Montessori program will remain largely consistent with its current structure. One key feature that we will maintain is a seamless continuum from early grades through secondary Montessori, with all transportation zones continue to feed into the secondary program at J.T. Williams for grades 7 through 12. We also plan to continue prioritizing parent education as ongoing family understanding and support are critical to the success of this model. Overall, our focus is on preserving the integrity of the Montessori approach while strengthening alignment across the grade span and ensuring consistent support for families. Now I will pause and turn it over to Chair Sneed for questions related to Montessori.
Great. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Board members, questions about Montessori?
You guys are all looking at me.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, I'll have a question. So that you can educate these folks. Could you explain what the Montessori teacher certification process is? For me, my practicum teaching experience, 240 hours of classroom instruction that I was in my practice teaching role. So it is a little different from other certified certificate processes.
It's a very intense program. Dr. Schroeder, I don't know if you have anything else to add about the actual certification.
It is. It is an intense training that prepares our teachers for Montessori, and we're lucky to host it here in Charlotte because we have such a large number of teachers from Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools who go through Montessori training every year. They actually come here and conduct training throughout the summer.
Is it MACD certified? It is a MACD certified program? That's great. And how long is it typically taking most teachers to get through that? I know it will vary, but within elementary.
I think it's about 18 months. Is that right? Yeah,
18 months.
Years. Yes.
Are there local Montessori support people, Montessori guides, so lead teachers in each school? Of course, my system, my words are different, but.
So I see that our expert,
master
all my
teacher, so to
experts with
speak.
me today, our director of Affiliate Studies, Lisa Pagano, is here with us as well. And she's sharing with us, we do not have Montessori lead teachers in our schools.
Okay.
Vice Chair Rankin?
Just for clarification, so there's no change to our Montessori program?
That is correct.
Okay. No change.
Oh, okay.
It's well received. People are very happy with it, and that's the highlight.
Okay.
It's a national model, so we don't recommend any changes.
Next up, I think we have, is it IB LITD?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would like to invite our principal, Dr. Jackie Barone, who's the principal of Piedmont IB, up to share a few comments.
Good evening, Board of Education members and Superintendent Hill. I'm Dr. Jackie Barone, proud principal of Piedmont IB Middle School. I love IB, and I'm excited to see continued opportunities and rigorous coursework for our students with the intersection of IB and LITD programs. In my 28 years with CMS, I've had the privilege of experience IB as a high school math teacher, as a middle school assistant principal and principal, and as a mom. The mission of IB is IB develops inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through education that builds intercultural understanding and respect. I can without a doubt say that I've seen this mission in action and the positive impact that not only IB, but also LITD has had on all types of learners through my various lenses and experiences, including through my own two kids, one of whom is a junior in high school taking AP courses, and one of whom is a sophomore at UNCC and hopefully a future CMS social studies teacher. When I began my career as a math teacher at East Mecklenburg High School, I saw firsthand how students who had been in IB or LITD programs for elementary and middle schools were able to succeed in higher level coursework, including IB Math Studies, Advanced Placement Statistics, and even IB MYP Geometry. And yes, I'm that old, it's not even called geometry anymore. As an assistant principal and principal at Piedmont, we've regularly enrolled students from LITD and PYP programs, and I've had the distinct honor of watching these students thrive in middle school. IB, muy importante comprender una otra lengua. Our students take a high school level foreign language during their middle school years and enter high school ahead of traditional middle school students. IB offers us the chance to support gifted learners. Through advanced coursework such as Math 1 and Math 2 in middle school, our students are ahead and ready for the IB Diploma program in high school. Our students enter high school ready to not only enroll in college-level courses, but often ahead of their peers and ready to achieve and earn college credits in high school. IB helps us teach students to break down and tackle any large tasks through the design process. Students learn to engage in inquiring and analyzing, developing ideas, creating solutions, and evaluating anytime they do a project, a large task, or really any work. This work allows them to be prepared for such college-level tasks as research projects and writing assignments. IB gives us a great way to teach character education. Through the IB Learner Profile, we teach students to be principled, thinkers, inquirers, knowledgeable, open-minded, communicators, caring, risk-takers, reflective, and balanced. We do this through daily lessons, school activities, and if you've been around Piedmont for a while, through our morning announcement show, the Delaney and Barone Show. IB provides us with hope for the future. Some of my proudest moments are viewing the community projects our students complete each year. This work continues in high school IB programs with the Personal Project. Watching our IB students in action helps me realize that our kids are going to change the world and make it a better place. With their service work during their K-12 schooling and their rigorous coursework, our students are destined to become the problem solvers of the future. Having been at Piedmont for nearly 20 years, I've already seen the beginnings of this as our students have come back to visit, sharing stories of their career successes as surgeons, attorneys, politicians, educators. There was even a former Piedmont pirate here earlier tonight, Mr. Sean Smith, who will be headed off to college this fall to study AI. In closing, I'm proud and thankful to support IB, LI, and TD learners and excited to see the additional opportunities for acceleration that we'll be able to offer our students.
Thank you, Dr. Barone. We appreciate your feedback. The International Baccalaureate Program is a globally recognized educational framework designed to develop students who are knowledgeable, thoughtful, and prepared to engage with complex global challenges. IB is a comprehensive program that emphasizes critical thinking, global-mindedness, and the development of the whole child intellectually, personally, socially, and emotionally. Through cultural understanding, language learning, and service, IB encourages students to adopt positive attitudes, ask challenging questions, think critically, conduct research, and engage in their learning, and propose solutions. IB-trained teachers use concept-based transdisciplinary instructional practices aligned with the IB framework, ensuring that students experience learning through a deeply connected, inquiry-driven lens. The Primary Years Program, also known as PYP, supports elementary students through inquiry-based, cross-disciplinary learning grounded in the IB learner profile. Students receive dedicated Spanish instruction each week, establishing early world language foundations. The program culminates in the PYP exhibition, where fifth grade students identify a real-world issue, collaborate with peers, and present solutions. Program coordination is supported through advanced studies. The Middle Years Program, also known as MYP, bridges elementary inquiry with the rigorous academic expectations of high school. Students in grades 6 through 10 engage with core subjects through a concept-based, globally connected approach that moves beyond modernization toward deeper understanding. A signature component is the personal project, completed in grades 8 through 10, which requires students to independently pursue a topic of personal interest, create a product, and reflect on their learning. This process builds research skills, self-management, and intellectual ownership. The diploma program, offered in grades 11 and 12, is one of the most rigorous and internationally recognized academic experiences available to any high school student worldwide. Students complete coursework across 6 subject areas alongside 3 core components: theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and creativity, activity service, which is also known as CAS, developing great academic skills and strong global readiness. The career-related program offers a flexible pathway for students seeking to combine IB academics and real-world career preparation. Students select a career pathway such as CTE coursework, internships, or industry certifications, and pair it with at least 2 IB courses. Core program components in personal and professional skills, service learning, and language development support the whole learner. The CP expands access to IB programming and helps students graduate confident, skilled, and career ready. I just shared information with you about our IB program as they stand alone. I would now like to integrate and share with you information about our learning immersion, talent development, and how it will complement IB if they are paired together in the future. I'd like to begin by providing a brief overview of how gifted identification works in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. The district identifies students across 5 state-required categories: academically, intellectually gifted, intellectually gifted, academically gifted in reading, and academically gifted in math. Our identification process is intentionally robust and comprehensive, grounded in research-based best practices to ensure we recognize students' potential in multiple ways. To maintain consistency across all schools, we use a district-wide rubric in which students earn points equivalent to the 77th percentile or higher. Multiple criteria inform eligibility, and students may be rescreened after at least 24 months, based on decisions made by each school's AIG site-based committee. Identified students may attend an LITD school or receive services at their home school through the NEAT framework. Gifted programming is available at every CMS elementary school. Currently, the Learning Immersion Talent Development Program is designed to provide gifted and advanced learners with a challenging and supportive learning environment grounded in best practices for gifted education. The Learning Immersion Program focuses on nurturing academic potential and developing student talent in grades K through 5, while the Talent Development Program serves identified gifted students in grades 3 through 5 through rigorous, enriched instruction. Talent development teachers are AIG licensed and or receive targeted professional development aligned to gifted education best practices. In both LI and TD, students benefit from consistent access to advanced learning experience to their needs. Podcast creation, book studies, poetry, and science experiments, which allow them to explore their interests and extend their learning beyond the core curriculum. As mentioned earlier, all CMS elementary gifted students are served through either the NEAT framework or the LITD choice programs. This slide outlines the distinctions between the two models as well as the areas where they align. Both approaches provide an appropriate balance of nurturing, enrichment, and acceleration for students. In an LITD school, teachers are highly skilled in meeting the needs of advanced learners and consistently teach at elevated levels. Additionally, LITD schools utilize specialized gifted resources such as junior grade books to further support rigorous and enriched learning experiences. Both the IB and LITD programs are strong in their own right. Bringing these two robust models together, we are excited about how this will support our opportunities for students. IB creates a clear, globally recognized structure, while LITD adds the differentiation needed to meet the needs of our advanced learners. Together, these approaches elevate inquiry, deepen conceptual understanding, and enrich transdisciplinary learning. The intentional integration of gifted education strategies and best practices effectively supercharge the IB experience for all students. If the current draft plan in response to the 2024 comprehensive review is approved, all LITD IB schools will receive an allotment for a language teacher so that students can benefit from early second language acquisition. Each school will also receive a designated LITD IB coordinator to lead the model, guide implementation, and support teachers. In addition, all teachers will have the minimum of the local AIG endorsement in grades K through 8. Classroom teachers will continue to receive strong ongoing professional development in both gifted education, best practices, and IB methodologies. Principals will also engage in professional learning aligned to IB and gifted best practices to support strong instructional leadership. In this future model, all students will be taught by gifted, licensed, or endorsed teachers who consistently deliver rigorous instruction. Units of inquiry will be infused with gifted strategies to nurture student potential, while enrichment and acceleration will support advanced learners. Students will engage in meaningful writing experiences that strengthen voice, deepen complex thinking, and build strong communication skills. Service learning will also be an integral component of the student experience at these schools. At the middle school level, each school will receive a dedicated IB LITD coordinator. IB teachers will be required to obtain AIG licensure or CMS gifted endorsement, and all will participate in IB training. Principals will also be trained. Students will engage in required service learning to take advanced coursework with opportunities to earn high school credits. For example, a student in middle school may leave with a Math 1 high school credit, a Math 2 high school credit, Earth and Environmental Science, World History, and or English 1 as well. At this time, I will pause for questions about IB LITD. Madam Chair.
Board Member Shipp.
Yes, I first want to say thank you, Dr. Barone, for my child who was at Piedmont, who was the day in the medical field, surgery, and I don't know if you knew anesthesia. So thank you. And yes, I have a lot to say about the LITD and IB program. I was a former principal of LITD. My daughter was IB the entire time, and IB diploma graduate. So I'm very familiar with this program and how important it is and what it brings to gifted students, those who start with LI, they're TD, and they're gifted, and they move on to IB. I think when you think about it, it's not for all children. We think about IB because the IB program is very rigorous. But I do think if they have the opportunity to be identified and we really do the work as LITD in elementary, now you're talking about combining it. I don't know how I feel about that because I've seen both in isolation. So thank you for bringing all of this. This is really good. And like I said, I've had opportunities to see this firsthand. I'm just concerned somewhat about how this will come together. IB and then LITD, and you're saying starting in the elementary school, right? My question would be certification requirements for the students. That's what's so big. Will we make sure we have the teachers that are certified to do the work with our students, because that's so important as someone who was a former LITD person. And also when you talk about second languages, because that's critical. What second language? You just said second language. Will all the schools have the same second language? Will there be second language choices? Spanish, French, what will it be? I know mine did Spanish. She actually speaks Spanish now. Thank you again, Dr. Brown, because she started at Piedmont. We didn't have it at the elementary, so talk to me a little bit about that.
Lots of questions, but I have a great memory.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to respond.
I'm sorry, I did have a lot of questions.
So the first question, one of the things that the last time that I talked about this, I did not lift. Today, our LITD students do not have a natural feeder. Like
That's
they go
right.
to K-5 and they don't automatically have a seat in a middle school.
That's right.
So this would provide them a natural feeder. The other thing that I want to lift is that every child that participates in the IB diploma does not have to be identified as gifted. They have to be committed and willing to do the work.
Right.
What we believe by combining the two, you heard me talk about in both of the programs, is very rigorous. We believe that an IB child that never identifies as LITD will still be exposed to the rigor of IB with the enhancement of the LITD supports as well. Because every teacher, as you heard me say in K-8, at a minimum will have the local AIG endorsement.
Okay.
So they will teach at that level of rigor. So if I may never identify as a LITD student,
yes.
but I can go to high school and do the IB diploma and be successful. And in this pathway, I've been given additional supports along the way. In addition, we have a year, if this is approved in May, to work with schools to plan what are the languages. But the goal is, and the expectation of elementary IB is that we would start foreign language in elementary school. And then, of course, we would want to continue that same language availability to middle school. And then, when they get to high school, they have multiple options for languages. Did I leave any questions here?
Second language. When you use the word just loose that every school will have a second language, what second language? Because I know a lot of it has been Spanish, but
Typically it's Spanish, but what
Right.
we're saying is that if this is approved in May, then we want to continue to engage our families and our staff and make sure that we make the very best decisions. At the elementary level, it'd be one language, and we would want that to be consistent so that when kids get to middle school, because they can get a high school credit for that language in middle school, which would free up space for their high school schedule, that we want that language to be consistent. And then when they get to high school, our high schools have multiple languages offered, then children could decide which language they prefer to participate in.
I think that's all my questions at this time. Thank you all so much for that.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Thank you. Just a point of clarity, because I might be tired tonight. That was whack. But around the licensure for the teachers, I know at least all elementary schools, teachers will be AIG licensed or go through the CMS pathway. What is a requirement? What's the time frame for that, for teachers to come up, and what are some of the responses that you're getting back from them?
That's a great question. And so we have done some of that in response to our SOFG goals, just with identifying our Math 8 and our Math 1 already. We have our middle school Math 1 teachers that completed their DREAM certification, which is our local AIG endorsement. And then we started working with our middle school ELA teachers, and we had lots of positive feedback. By I think we started second semester, and then by the end of the summer, the teachers have the local endorsement to teach Math 1 in middle school. We didn't have any pushback from schools because teachers were appreciative to have this additional support and resource. They work together as a team on getting certification. It's a local endorsement that we have gotten approved by the state that we can do here. They don't have to go somewhere else. And then if they decide to take the state AIG endorsement, then we reimburse for the endorsement if they're past it, but there's no pressure from us for them to do that. And so we would ask that our elementary and middle school teachers in these schools, over a period of time as a collective group, get the local endorsement, so that when parents send their children to these schools, the instruction is at a different level.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Board Member Stone.
Thank you. Thanks. I would like to go back to what Ms. Ship discussed about the language. If we are placing an LITD school IB, all of it together, in a school that's already maybe has a dual immersion language program, or has a language immersion program, would they be able to continue?
Well, we would not commingle have the program, so we would not at all want to suggest or encourage that we'd have two programs competing for students and resources in one school.
I was just wondering if they'd change the whole school over so everybody's getting the experience of the LITD program, but in an immersive environment to take care of the language.
We would offer the language, but it would not be immersive similar to DLI, because that's very different, and I'll talk about that at our next board meeting, because that's very different in that those children really come out speaking the language, not so much a child taking a foreign language course in elementary to be introduced to it. Very different concept.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Hatch, thank you for this. I'm curious about the integration of the curriculum. One thing that I've been hearing is just the concern around the IB curriculum and kind of how it stands the way it is, but then the LITD. Is it going to be and I'm really just asking out of curiosity, where the two curriculums are going to be, you keep the integrity of the IB and then you're going to enhance, but then also still hit the state standards? How does that work?
Great question. So again, we want to reduce the number of themes. We have 16, we want to go to 6. We have a great team at the district office that will take our standard course of study, which by law is what we're required to teach. They take whatever the program choice is and they look at those resources. For example, we have to retool the Montessori to make sure that that aligns with the standard course of study. So they will amplify the curriculum to align with the program choice. So to your point about IB, there are things that we have to teach that are expectations to be true to IB, whereas LITD can come in and amplify, increase the rigor, add additional resources, but not take away from the standard course of study or the IB program.
Thank you.
I have a question. What is the utilization typically for LITD? Meaning, like, do we have a shortage of LITD seats?
We have wait list, Ms. Serbeck said, but again, we don't have LITD beyond elementary school. Because today don't have a continuum of pathway.
Right. So I'm just wondering for LITD students, would be considered LITD students, how are we dealing with the students that need to be in those settings and it may not be seats, even under this model? Like, so they're gifted. They met one of the indicators that you put forth, but it's not a seat for them at a particular new version of IB LITD school.
So great question, Chair Sneed. So one of the things in our response is that we've added additional elementary schools so that we'll be able to open up more seats. So for example, what comes to mind without looking at the plan, Myers Park Traditional, Elizabeth Traditional, and those are full magnets now. So we've added additional schools, and we have determined based on the number of interest in the program that we would have enough seats for our families. We want to make sure that we have enough seats in each transportation zone. But the other thing that we would do, I think you were asking this, if not, you can stop me. The other thing that we would do, if we are truly that identified student, then we would also cohort those kids in the school. So even though we're all getting the IB experience, those students that are LITD in 4th grade that need that additional rigor, they would be cohorted in a classroom, which would be different than at a school that offers you your AIG support where you're pulled out. Then they would be together all day as well. But what we don't want is that you go to a school that is a partial magnet and half the kids get the experience and the others don't. What you'll see moving forward in this instance is that everyone's getting IB, every child in that school. And then those that truly identify for that additional level of rigor would be cohorted in classrooms by grade level to be able to learn from each other at the higher level of rigor, but all the kids will participate in the projects, the service learning, and the foreign language and all those things.
Last question about that, how would you measure the experience that the children in that situation are cohorted compared to an entire school that is the IB, LITD?
So that would all have, it'd be an and. So in other words, we're identified in fourth grade LITD, so we're in a class together. But we all as a collective grade level go on our field trips together for the IB experience. We all do our foreign languages together. We do our service projects together. So it's still a school feel. It's not, I'm over here and I'm separated from the rest of the school. We really want it to be that we've all agreed to come to the school and have these same principles and concepts as to how we work together as a school community. So that would be the floor with the IB. And then those kids that need the additional rigor would be cohort together in the IB, in the LITD classroom.
I mean, I guess so essentially what you're saying is it would be their academic performance, is my guess. I mean, like, how do you know
those children can move faster and go deeper, maybe even do more project-based learning?
Thank you. Vice Chair Rankin.
We're talking about LITD, we're talking about AIG, in the different ways you can be identified, but I just want to make sure we're clear, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Declared AIG, that should still receive my services. So is that, I want to make sure we're clear that when we're talking about this comprehensive review, for anybody that may be listening, that you just don't have to attend LITD to do that, to receive that.
Thank you for saying that. I said that several times, but I'm glad that you call that out, because one of the things that we've even heard from community meetings is I also want to remind everyone we have great homeschool options. We have 20,000 families that choose program choice. This is 20,000 families, but we have 140,000 students, and we have great homeschools as well. And to your point, AIG is a right. So if you are identified as LITD, no matter where you are in the district, we're going to serve you. So thank you for saying that.
All right, the last is middle and early colleges.
And yes, and before I start this section, I will say that I put a handout at your desk as well, your table as well, just to sort of amplify some of the numbers for you. I would like to thank Principal Toya Matthews, who is here with us tonight. She is currently one of our middle college principals at Maracus, and so she will share a few words with us about her experience as the leader of one of our middle colleges.
Good evening, Superintendent Hill and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board of Education members. I am Toya Matthews, proud principal of Maracus Middle College School on the campus of Central Piedmont Community College in Huntersville. I want to take a moment to share my excitement about the possibility of transitioning Maracus Middle College to an early college. In my short time as a middle college principal, and a parent of a middle college graduate who most recently graduated a master's degree from Rutgers in May of 2025. I have been deeply impressed by the preparation, support, and intentionality that emerged from the partnership between CMS staff and the CPC faculty. What stands out most is not just what our students are learning, but how they think about their future. In individual conferences, they are not simply planning for the next semester. They are mapping out the next 3 years and often beyond. They are goal setters. They are strategic thinkers. Our students understand how their college coursework positions them ahead of their peers when they enter a four-year university. Many are already envisioning themselves with their master's degrees and even doctorates. This level of purpose, organization, and work ethic is powerful. Now let us imagine the same mindset beginning earlier. That is what makes the early college model more compelling. It gives students a longer runway to reach the same destination without the pressure of very compressed timeline. It allows them more time to grow, to build confidence, and really maximize the opportunities before them. Studies from the American Institutes for Research reinforces what we already believe. Early college students are more likely to enroll in and persist through college, especially first-generation students and those from historically underrepresented groups. The model also reduces the number of school transitions. allowing students to remain connected to a consistent school culture and community. Those relationships really matter. They become a source of strength, a stability, and support throughout the high school years. Early college students are also more likely to earn an associate's degree, saving families both time and tuition cost. And with the expansion of the early college comes an increase in staffing and a broader range of expertise, enabling us to support students academically, socially, and emotionally, while fully executing a strong mission and vision. By working in partnership with community stakeholders, our CPCC, and our existing CMS early college programs, we can create a unified, student-centered model that opens doors earlier, supports students, and elevates opportunities across our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Matthews. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools currently operates 4 middle colleges: Cato, Harper, Levine, and Marcinkus, serving upperclassmen who complete grades 11 and 12 on a college campus, with the option for a 13th year. Students earn high school credits while simultaneously completing an associate's degree, transferable credits, or industry-recognized certifications. Currently, we have 654 students enrolled for the 25-26 school year, and transportation is not provided for our middle college students. Our middle colleges are high-performing, with all sites earning an A rating and graduation rates above 95%. Students are projected to earn over 39,000 college credit hours, representing more than $11 million in potential family savings. Tuition, fees, and textbooks are completely covered, and students are still able to participate in athletics at their home high school. Our early colleges provide students with an accelerated academic pathway beginning in 9th or 10th grade, with all high school and college coursework completed directly on the early college campus. CMS currently operates 4 early colleges: Central Piedmont Early College, Charlotte Engineering Early College, Charlotte Teachers Early College, and Hawthorne Academy. Together, these schools will serve 1,209 students this year. Transportation is provided for all enrolled students. There is a significant demand for the early college model, with 326 currently on the wait list for the 25-26 school year, and that number is expected to grow for 26-27. I'll tell you, it's over 1,300. Our early colleges have earned either an A or B rating from the state and consistently maintain a graduation rate above 95%. For the current year, students are on track to earn 72,540 college credit hours, representing more than $21.2 million in potential tuition savings for CMS families. CMS provides transportation for all early college students, which means geography is never a barrier for families. Students begin taking college courses as early as 9th grade, and because they complete most of their high school requirements by 10th grade, they can fully focus on earning college credits. And more importantly, even while attending an early college, students are still able to go to their home school to participate in athletics. In our draft plan in response to the 2024 Comprehensive Review, we are proposing a transition that converts existing middle colleges into early colleges, creating a 9-12 model across 8 schools. This expansion would increase enrollment capacity to 3,200 students by 2027-2028, eliminating current wait lists to many more families, those who need additional time. Increasing access to early colleges means students can earn more college credits before graduation, resulting in significantly reduced tuition costs for families when students move on to 4-year institutions or work. As shown on this slide, 3,200 seats across our 8 early colleges provide students the opportunity to earn a combined potential of 192,000 college credit hours, representing an estimated total cost savings of over $56 million. Now, to share this with you in a different way, we've changed the names to protect these famous students, but we're going to meet Jane, her brother Mark, and they're both 8th grade students attending CMS middle schools. They're first-generation college-bound students who have already begun discussing college and future goals at home. However, their paths diverge as they enter high school. Jane has chosen to join the early college pathway right after 8th grade, while Mark has decided to attend his home high school and later transition to a middle college program for 11th and 12th grade. On Jane's first day of ninth grade, she immediately felt the difference. The early college environment was smaller. Everyone around her shared the same focus on earning both high school and college credits. All of our early colleges are no more than 400 students. So from the start, her schedule blended honors classes with college coursework. As a freshman, she managed advanced science, math, and history while earning her first college credits in health and wellness. It wasn't easy, but it laid a strong foundation. By 10th grade, the rigor continued to grow with additional honors courses and more college classes, such as public speaking, psychology, and American history. Jane was already learning to think critically, meet deadlines, and communicate with confidence, skills most students at her age had not yet developed. In 11th grade, she transitioned fully into college-level coursework. Because she had already learned to navigate college expectations, the workload became manageable, and the flexible schedule gave her space to take short session courses. She stayed involved in her extracurricular activities and built independence as a learner. By senior year, Jane was no longer trying to keep up, she was leading. At times when someone asked what grade she was in, she had to pause because she no longer felt like a high school student. Between chemistry, calculus, anatomy, and foreign language study, she was fully immersed in college life. By the end of 12th grade, Jane earned her associate's degree, also completed her EMT certification, which allowed her to work weekends as a college student. Jane had earned nearly 60 college credits, 2 full years of college completed, as she transferred to a university, putting her one step closer to her dream of becoming a doctor. Jane didn't just prepare for college, she lived it. Now let's talk about Mark through middle college. Mark was the kind of student who often finished his Math 3 work early, regularly asking his teacher what's next. At home, he spoke frequently with his family about college. Although no one in his family had attended college before, he knew he wanted a career in education, one that would allow him to help people solve complex problems. In 10th grade, his counselor introduced him to the middle college option. The idea of smaller classes, access to college coursework, and the opportunity to get ahead immediately captured his interest. To qualify, Mark needed to complete specific courses including Math 1, Math 2, Biology, English 1 and 2, American and World History, Health and PE, and he needed to have a 2.8 GPA to qualify for the middle college. Mark met every requirement. After talking with his family, he applied and was accepted. His counselor encouraged him to complete civic literacy online over the summer so he could maximize the number of college credits he would earn. On the first day of 11th grade, Mark immediately felt the shift. The campus was smaller, expectations were higher, and his classmates were just as motivated as he was. Guided by his counselor, he began taking college courses in subjects that truly interested him. Throughout 11th and 12th grade, he balanced honors high school classes with increasingly rigorous college coursework in English, biology, chemistry, statistics, psychology. Each semester pushed him to grow, strengthening his study, skills, confidence, and independence. Mark decided to stay for a 13th year to complete his associate's degree, ending such a uniquely powerful pathway. Jane enters her specialized program directly after 8th grade with no prerequisites, no waiting period, and no gap in learning. She begins early college credit in 9th grade, 2 full years before Mark even steps into a college classroom. By the time she reaches senior year, Jane isn't simply taking college courses, she's functioning as a college student, leading discussions, managing a demanding schedule of advanced STEM and language coursework, and developing the independence and academic identity that come with sustained immersion in a college environment. Mark's middle college path is also meaningful and intentional, but it is designed as a later, shorter runway. Early college simply provides more time for students to accumulate college credit, more time to build strong college-ready habits, and more time to discover who they are as learners. Now let's meet Chris. Chris is an 8th grade student attending a Charlotte-Mecklenburg middle school. And like Jane and Mark, he's shown a strong interest and aptitude in business administration, and he's also a first-generation college-bound student who has already begun discussing college and future goals with his family. Chris is interested in pursuing a career, but unlike his peers, he has chosen to stay at his home high school, a comprehensive high school where he is a strong varsity athlete. Now let's talk about Chris and his comprehensive high school journey through the Career and College Promise program. Chris loves his school and always knew he wanted to stay at his home high school all 4 years, even as he began talking with his junior year along with the opportunity to get ahead. He immediately got excited. To be eligible, he needed to maintain at least a 2.8 GPA, and he met that requirement. After discussing the option with his family, Chris met with his counselor, submitted his application for dual enrollment his junior year, and worked with her to create a 2-year course plan that ensured he can meet all of his graduation requirements while earning certifications. Throughout 11th and 12th grade, Chris balanced his honors classes with increasingly rigorous college coursework each semester, building study skills, confidence, and independence. He ultimately earned 18 business operation credits while still in high school, which allowed him to work over the summer and gain valuable experience. Chris transferred his credits to a university while accepting an offer to participate in sports. He was able to join the workforce, all while continuing to earn his bachelor's degree. So, it's important to note that I share with you 3 different real experiences for students in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Each of them chose a different pathway to an associate's degree. One opted for 4 years at an early college, one opted for 2 years at a middle college, and one opted to participate in dual enrollment through their home high school. In the draft plan in response to the 2024 comprehensive review, staff has shared the middle college transition to early colleges, which would provide 800 more seats a year. This is needed as we consistently have a wait list for early colleges. Today, we have a wait list of over 1,300 students for the early colleges. Currently, we do not have a wait list for the middle colleges, and we still have seats available. They are both good options. However, year over year, our students are applying for a seat in our early colleges, and over 1,300 are sitting on a wait list. We can still support our juniors through dual enrollment if they choose to pursue a 2-year associate's degree, as we offer dual enrollment at all high schools in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. So we can still serve juniors that choose to start their college experience in high school. Students can access these courses through dual enrollment while attending their home high school. This proposal supports more students gaining access earlier and allowing upperclassmen to participate from their home high school through dual enrollment. The future state is to offer 800 more seats by transitioning our middle colleges to early colleges and supporting our high school.
And one question that I have, and I think, you've kind of laid it out with early college to dual enrollment, but I just would like to say it out loud to clarify for me. So our middle colleges will now transition to early colleges, right? So they're not going away, so we're adding and they'll just become full early colleges.
That's correct.
Students will still have the opportunity to participate in dual enrollment, but they may or will they be able to transition to early college if they don't start in 9th grade?
So great question. So our early college students, because we have a wait list of 1,300, oftentimes students decide it's not for them. So we do have spaces open up, but we potentially go to the wait list. But there is a possibility that even in an early college, we could still accept a student from their home high school first semester of their sophomore year. So that's why I continue to speak to dual enrollment. So the early college has very specific requirements and a schedule for students to complete the program. So students that decide not to leave their home high school until their junior year, we would encourage them to participate in our CCP academies at their home high school. So early college students really need to make the decision entering 9th grade, and then if there are seats available, 2nd semester 9th grade or 1st semester of sophomore year, because beyond that, then we can't really get those students caught up to get with their cohort, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. So just to replay it back, if I don't decide or don't feel like I'm ready as a 9th grader, you're still working with me from career readiness perspective to say, like, when you're ready, we will have a path for you to take courses even if you're not in the early college.
Yes, and oftentimes juniors and seniors are able to take a community college first period and they go to their high school, so you can even still have the feel of being on the college campus. As Dr. Hill said earlier, sometimes the instructor goes to the school to make sure we provide access, but oftentimes our kids drive themselves to the college campus and sit in the college course on the college campus as a junior or senior through dual enrollment.
My last question on it would be I love the emphasis around first generation, and I could see how a student, particularly that maybe is first generation and is a 9th grader, may not have all the students that actually get sent back, and it could be just rough.
So again, I'm so glad I have a great memory. But I will say great questions, and thank you for calling out the fact that the early colleges were designed for first generation students. That's the priority anywhere you go in the state of North Carolina. It also is designed for us to work on CTE, career and technical education. So those are the priorities, number one. And to your point about what do I get if I'm a ninth grader, then for example, at CPCC, Mr. Turner, for example, the first college course they take is a health and PE course. But then they also do something like ACA, it's called ACA, and it's study skills. How do I take notes? How do I prepare? So if I don't have those supports at home, potentially because I'm first generation or I'm just new to this process, then that first year, I'm still cohorted and I'm I'm on the college campus, but I'm really treated as a high school student. I stay together as a cohort, I'm in that one building. And I may go out for that health and PE class on the college campus, but you're really spending time with me and that team to make sure that I'm ready when I really go out all the time, junior and senior year. So I still even have 2 years in that early college experience that I'm really with high school students in a smaller environment, because there's no more than 100 kids in any of our early colleges per grade level. The max is 400 per school, 100 per grade level.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rankin.
I just want to let Ms. Shipp know, I one up you because my daughters both had Ms. Matthews and Ms. Barone. Just want to let you know that. Thank y'all. We're saying we have 1,300 seats, but those were freshmen this year, right?
We have
1,300 waiting list, excuse me, on the waiting list.
We have 1,300 that potentially we'd be picking up a 9th and 10th grade. So we maybe, which is where I think you're going.
So those are they'll be sophomores.
We may be able to pick up those 1,300 for the 10th grade year and get them caught up.
Okay.
I think that's where you were going.
Yeah, because I was thinking if they're on the waiting list, they're freshmen. But then when
they're rising, they'll be freshmen next fall.
But
if this is approved a year from now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so we may have to be, it may be some type of staggered.
It could be, depending on support and direction from the board, that we take 9th and 10th graders. We could just take 9th graders and have a gap year in there. But to your point, we could potentially catch those kids up that are on the wait list that would not have a seat next year because it would not be approved for next year. That next fall, we could pick them up in 10th grade and start supporting them and get them caught up.
Will those students be able to apply, even though they'll be rising sophomores?
We would create a process for them to apply for that 10th grade year if we open up 9th and 10th grade, yes, sir.
Okay. And all the other, this is my last little piece. So, but all the other things apply to where if you attend early college, you can, if you want to participate in sports, you're still allowed to go participate at your home school if need be and things of that nature. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
One of the other things is we've met with the schools is that we know that we would, with all of these, we would need this year that's in between intentional to plan to make sure that we can map out the additional courses that middle colleges don't offer now that they would need to offer if they become a 4-year program. So we're prepared for that as well.
Okay. I'm trying one up me.
Board membership.
No, I was going to ask about dual enrollment and that piece, because when we talk about no transportation and how that piece is always a concern. Although at the middle college, you said there wasn't transportation, or was
Today,
there?
middle colleges do not get transportation. Early colleges do get transportation. Dual enrollment, as Dr. Hill has shared, we have instructors that go to the campus, and then we have children that go to the high school campus. And then we have children that go to the college campus. So we could still support students through dual enrollment and serve them through their home high school. In fact, this year, we have 100 kids graduating from a comprehensive high school that will get their associate's degree and their high school diploma.
So,
and we hope to grow that number.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it there.
Just one thing about transportation. One of the things that I specifically put forth to the MPTA in regards to transportation is making sure that they are providing pathways and avenues for our students that are in these programs, and that when they are building out the model and their routes and maps and cost, that it includes our CMS students that are attending those, that are going to those campuses.
And I will share that our principals did say that some of our kids are heavily accessing the CATS passes to be able to go back and forth.
I believe that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the last item for this evening is, superintendent report.
Good evening, board members. I think we've said a lot of words tonight. I did have prepared comments. But I hope everyone has a fantastic night. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and that concludes my report.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as the Chair of the Policy Committee to make the motion. As is reported out of the committee, it does not require a second.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications to Policy A-GRA Grading Assessment Systems. The proposed change removes attendance as a factor in determining student grades. This adjustment aligns with recent updates from the State Board of Education, which prohibit failing a student solely due to absences. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend fast-track approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor by show of hands. Unanimous, Madam Clerk. There being no further.
One more.
Oh, boy. You sure do. Okay. The last action item for this evening is modification to Policy B-BOPS Board Operations. I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as the Chair of the Policy Committee to make this motion. As is out of committee, it does not require a second.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications to Policy B-BOPS Board Operations. The proposed changes include eliminating the Office of Board Operations as part of a broader restructuring to streamline board support functions, creating the Office of Board Governance, Constituent Services, and Support, which will report directly to the Board of Education through the Board Governance, Support, and Operations Officer, and replace the Board of Operations. Defining the roles and responsibilities of the Board Governance Support Operations Officer. These include, but are not limited to, facilitating board governance processes, managing constituent inquiries and services, delivering administrative and operational assistance, and promoting efficient board operations while ensuring strong responsiveness to the community and stakeholders. Updating the policy code and title of the policy to accurately reflect the elimination of the old office, the establishment of the new one, and the associated structural and functional changes. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend fast-track approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
Not this time.
All right, is there any comments regarding this motion?
No.
All those in favor by show of hands. Unanimous, Madam Clerk. Now, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
That's it.
Updating the policy code and title of the policy to accurately reflect the elimination of the old office, the establishment of the new one, and the associated structural and functional changes. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our March 5th, 2026 meeting and voted to recommend fast-track approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?